the studios. Sacktown Sports. It's time. It is that time. Time for Stiles and Watkins.
You can join the show by texting 916-339-1140. Find us on YouTube at Sacktown Sports 1140.
It's time for Alan Stiles and Chris Watkins.
Yes. On a Monday, Stiles and Watkins taking up to 2 p.m. Chris is back.
Yay.
Chris Watkins, how was your break?
It was wonderful. It's never long enough. I actually got Sunday Scaries last Friday.
Okay.
I don't know if it's just like my internal clock was like, hey, you just had 2 days off. Now it's back to work or something. But besides getting over that, it was a good break. Golfed a good bit, hung out with some family. Did some work as well. But it was a nice little break, much needed. And you got football season right around the corner. I know you've got a little mini vacay, not really vacay, but you got some stuff that you gotta take care of. So just kind of getting ready for the seasons, multiple seasons to kick off here. As football, like I said, is right around the corner. But Kings, we can actually start to say, as we are past the middle of August, that the Kings are right around the corner. As media day, I believe, is September 31st. So.
Well, it's September now.
Pretty much.
It's September.
Not
now.
quite. We still have another full week, but almost.
We're pretty much
now.
Pretty
much, but we're not.
Thank you.
But
Thank
almost.
you. Well, it is good to have you back.
Yeah.
Last week, Kyle did a great job. Simone did a great job, and I did my best to do a great job. But it is nice to have my partner, my partner in crime,
that's right,
back as we take you up to 2 p.m. And really, Chris, the weekend was full. I mean, college football is back.
It is.
You had Ireland. Did you see all the McAfee stuff?
That's all I saw. That was all I saw.
Crazy.
I saw minimal game highlights, maximum McAfee highlights.
Insane. And
I hope we have that level of job security. That's what I would say. That's all.
He's to the point now where it's almost like a TV show where somebody could be saying, hey, let's see how much you can do.
Right.
And not get fired.
Yeah.
And he's literally just saying, let's just see.
Yeah.
Let's see how far I can take it. I guess at one point he threw up.
Really?
Yes.
Oh, I did not see. I saw him behind the bar. That's what I saw, and he was acting a fool. I don't think he was doing anything fireable, but obviously just not a great look in general. But, I think that's also part of his shtick. Like, it is cool to see, I guess in a way it's cool to see, your favorite anchors kind of loosen up. Like, I think the internet would have a jolly good time with Stephen A. Smith partying in a club or something like that.
Right.
So, it's not terrible or anything, but it's just probably not the most professional look. But again, that's kind of Pat McAfee's thing. So,
right. But if that's your thing, right.
Don't Paul Pierce it. That's all you got to do. Paul Pierce found the line.
Yes.
And the line is going live on Instagram with suspicious people in your background.
If your shtick is something that is just borderline, that's genius.
Yeah,
because
you live in the gray area.
Yes. That's literally what it is. Kyle behind the glass for us today. Kyle, you look like you wanted to say something about this McAfee stuff.
Well, I was going to say, in defense to him, he only threw up in the breaks. I don't think he threw up on camera.
So, that whole thing started leading us up to, they were all out there for the start of the college football season. And DJ, I'm not going to try the last name, but DJ, he finds his way back in the ACC. Yeah. And for some reason, people keep giving him a job, and he's just not that good. He does not seem to be that good. Georgia Tech, everybody's saying, FSU could be college football playoff.
Right.
They lose the first game of the season.
Incredible.
First game of the season.
Yeah. It's going to be interesting. I mean, not that Georgia Tech falls into this category, but it will be interesting to see, with the new playoff rule, or playoff, the teams that are now allowed into the playoff, how will it affect it? Obviously, again, losing to Georgia Tech probably isn't the right example for that. That's definitely going to carry some weight. At least it's at the beginning of the season. If you're Florida State, you have some time to come back from it. But I actually missed Dave's comments on that. Did you know Dave's like a massive Florida State fan?
Yes.
I missed his comments on that this morning, but I'm sure he actually didn't have a lot.
Yeah.
There really isn't much to say.
Because it's 12. They're expanded to 12 teams.
Is it already at 12? Yes, I think it already is.
Yes, it's going to be 12 this year.
That's right.
Every conference champion, one group of 5 team. It's Yeah, it's
Great.
going to be. There's also going to be home playoff games this year. So like the first,
I did see that.
First
the
round
first
of the
week, right?
The first round of the playoffs is at home stadium. So if you
Right.
get 5 through 8, you get to host a playoff game.
That's going to be
Yeah.
insane. That is going to be ridiculous.
There you go. So college football is back. All the memes, and the NFL's around the corner. All the memes of guys saying goodbye to their wives as the football season starts.
Yeah.
And
Get that honeydew list taken care of.
You got to get it done. You got to get it done. Yeah, because it is upon
It's
us.
here.
And you have the NFL, of course, with Trey Lance. We're going to get into some Trey Lance stuff. We're going to get into Manti Te'o on the Niners as well. But yeah, man, I mean, I'm just excited for the football season because it does feel like there are a lot more storylines than last season. This past season, you had Bryce Young, who the Panthers just weren't good, right? They weren't very good. And then you had CJ Stroud, which he kind of came out. You can't say he came out of nowhere when he was the number 2 pick, but nobody expected the Texans to be this. I feel like there are, and in part because of all the quarterbacks that we're taking, there are a lot of storylines headed into this season, whether it's Caleb Williams and driving in, I was listening to Carmichael Dave and Jason Ross, of course, and they're talking about Jaden Daniels and the Commanders. I'm thinking, I mean, look, I was just as upset as everybody when it came to how expensive NFL ticket is or was. And I honestly forgot that I had purchased it because, you get it every year. And I just saw the charge.
Yeah.
And I'm thinking, whoa. And I figured out what it was. But this is a year where there's always going to be a random game on with something. I feel like last season there were a lot of random games that I don't care about this at all. Whether it's even the Saints, and I have a crazy stat on Derek Carr that we'll get into towards the end of the show, but all these teams have storylines. They're everywhere.
Yeah,
everywhere.
No, it's a great point because it's one thing to be boring, but it's another thing to be bad and boring. And I think that's kind of what you're describing is there were some bad teams last year, but and they were bad and boring. This year, you could be bad and still have a lot of storylines that you can try and follow. I mean, all the rookie quarterbacks for sure. Bryce Young, just continuing to follow that story. Anthony Richardson. I mean, you could still follow the rookies from last year and still have a ton of storylines to follow. From the Niners side, it's not even talking about football anymore. It's about the guys who actually aren't playing football for them. And I know we're going to get into that, but I mean, that's definitely been a major plot line, or even a team like the Steelers, where again, they were fine, but they were boring. At least this year, they might be better. They might be worse.
Right.
You're going to have the Justin Fields and Russell Wilson storyline to follow. So at least there is some intriguing things to follow from that perspective. The Jets, obviously, we were robbed an entire year of Aaron Rodgers on the field storylines. Of course, we got plenty of the off the field stuff, but I'm excited to just see how all these things play out. I had a fantasy football draft over the weekend yesterday as well. So that was entertaining to kind of get to the, Austin Eckler's on the Commanders now. Okay. So they're really going to try in Baltimore to have Derrick Henry at 31 be their bell cow and things like that. Just following those storylines across the league, I think is going to be really, really exciting. And I mean, if you watch any of the rookies this year, that's in itself, I think, is going to be a major storyline. I saw Jacoby Brissett got hurt yesterday. I don't think that's going to be super long-term, but that might open up that quarterback competition a bit and get Drake May some looks. So, I think it's going to be a more than typical exciting NFL season.
Yeah.
At least the beginning.
Well, and then you have all the teams where the question is just going to be, all right, can you get over the hump, right? I feel like there are a ton of teams in that situation, whether it's
or just prove it seasons in general.
Prove it season.
I think the Lions are a prime candidate for that.
Because as soon as they're ahead of schedule, then you're going to blink and your window closes. And I think that's what happened with the Bills. Right. And honestly, I feel like that's what happened with the Ravens to this point, even though they get Derrick Henry. And did you see, I'm telling you, man, I am scared for Derrick Henry, another Ravens running back. I believe he broke his foot. Running backs for the Ravens, just stay away. Just stay away, man.
I also learned this in my fantasy draft. You know that the Ravens backfield from last year, J.K. Dobbins and Gus Edwards, that's just the Chargers backfield now. They have both Gus Edwards and J.K. Dobbins.
The Chargers.
Yes.
Yeah, the Chargers just took the bad Ravens and put them on their team.
This worked for this Harbaugh? Okay, cool. Let's have it work for this Harbaugh.
I think also their new general manager comes from the Ravens. So he's basically like, let's just get all the homies back here. Yeah. We'll just try it.
Part of the same miracle.
I thought I was on the track of, okay, maybe this is the year if the Dolphins can get the 1 seed and everything's got to come from Miami, and the end of their season is just ridiculous. They get the Niners, they get the Jets again. They have a struggle bus. I believe they have the Packers as well. So they have a struggle ahead of them. And I'm just looking at who is going to challenge in the AFC. Yeah. And I'm telling you, man, I'm not trying to come out just hot take or whatever it is, but the Ravens, for me, they're cooked. I don't know how much I believe in Lamar Jackson. I'm gonna be honest.
I mean, I've been there too. I mean, I think last season we were actually doing shows together as the playoffs were kind of concluding, and I think you and I were both on the same side of we love Lamar and love the story of Lamar. Yeah. We love how he plays and all this. But at some point here, if you're going to win multiple MVPs, if you're going to be carried in the same conversation, you got to freaking win one of these big games that you're not supposed to win. And you know, I don't know. I mean, it's going to be the opening game. We get it on Thursday on the 5th of September. It's going to be Chiefs-Ravens, and we're going to get a look at it. But, you know, it doesn't really feel the same as what it does in the postseason. And I'm kind of right there with you. I mean, I'm at this point with the Ravens, I'll believe it when I see it. I know they're going to be a scary team, but I think that at the end of the day, if you're looking at them as a playoff opponent, you're a lot more afraid of their defense than their offense. And I just don't think that should be the case at all, especially, again, when you have an MVP, a 2-time MVP at quarterback, you should be afraid of him on the offensive end. And it's not that you're not afraid of him, but I think if you're building the path for the Ravens to make a deep playoff run, something tells me that defense is going to play a really, really big role, and that offense is just going to be okay. I mean, really, and as sad as it is, they're going to be trying to just outscore the opponents by as much as they need. It doesn't feel like that's a juggernaut offense waiting to explode.
Well, no, and they got the new offensive coordinator, and they were supposed to open everything up, and Lamar was going to throw more, and they get Zay Flowers, and then towards the end of the season, it was the exact same thing.
And I mean, don't get it twisted. They're still a great offense. It's just you don't have the fear of that offense.
No.
Like I think the fear is Lamar might break open a big play, but it's not, hey, drive after drive. These guys are just going to meticulously pick you apart, and you can't stop them.
Yeah, it reminds me of what people think of the Niners offense, and I don't think this is actually as true, but they are set up to grab a lead and go from there, right? Yeah. They are not set up to come from behind and things like that, and that says something. I mean, if you're making me pick right now, hey, Alan, you can start your franchise with Lamar Jackson or C.J. Stroud. Right. And that's just another random AFC quarterback that entered the chat next season. Now there's going to be more. Right. So at what point are you going to have Lamar and pick him over some of these other AFC quarterbacks? Because I'm right there's too many.
I'm taking CJ over Lamar at this point, just in terms of, I mean, I know, again, Lamar is a very, very dangerous weapon, and I'm not trying to discount that, but CJ is just your more typical your quarterback, your typical pocket passer who's going to carve up defenses. He has a little bit of mobility to him, but I think the important thing is that he's lighting it up through the air, and that's kind of how today's NFL offenses are meant to be made, is by spreading the ball out and letting it fly. And yeah, I mean, you know, not just AFC quarterbacks, but how much longer, and bit of a hyperbole already, but like a guy like Caleb Williams, who is incredibly flashy and can run around in the pocket and outside of the pocket as well, and still have crazy arm strength as well. Jaden Daniels, first one to rush for 2,500 yards, whatever he did in college was absolutely insane on the ground and through the air. Yeah, I mean, you know, Lamar has kind of been the exception to the rest of the quarterbacks out there, and it does seem like, you know, as the quarterback position has definitely changed here recently, you have a lot better athletes in general playing quarterback, and frankly, athletes who can actually throw the ball just as well as some of your pocket passers.
Yeah, coming up next, we get into Manti Te'o and what he had to say about the Niners. Does it still look like the Niners are having fun? Stiles Watkins, Sacramento Sports.
Did you know that your largest investment asset might not be your retirement account or home? I'm Jay Jackson, CEO of Abacus Life. Most people don't realize that their life insurance policy is actually an asset they can sell. But for almost 20 years, Abacus has been purchasing life insurance policies from seniors just like you. We've even created a free policy value calculator at abacuspays.com so you can find out in seconds what we might pay for your policy. There are no fees and no obligations, just information. Knowing the value of your life insurance policy is as important as knowing the value of your home, your equity portfolio, or your finances in total. Discover the valuable information you need to understand the current market value for your life insurance, and then get real value from your life insurance when you need it with Abacus. Visit abacuspays.com to learn more and use our free policy value calculator today.
Your flagship station for the Beam Team, Sacktown Sports.
Brendan just popped in. Brendan Nunes, Sacktown Sports Kings insider. Thanks to Brendan. He hopped on with me last week while Chris was enjoying. So did you get any career lows in golf? How'd you play?
I played on Thursday. I played a tougher 9-hole. Didn't shoot great at all. It was the first time I'd really been out in a while, in a couple months. And then Friday played a much easier course and shot like 11 shots better. So kind of tough to like really gauge that. And then what was that? Saturday went down and just hit the driving range. So not really any career lows or anything, but just trying to figure out the swing and stress over the tiny details like everybody else.
Hey,
it's not fun. Let me tell you, golf,
I know.
not a fun sport, but
No.
it is a little bit rewarding. And I think that's what brings people back.
There you go. Well, there's always that one swing. And if you do
it
that,
happened.
you're on the tour.
It happened. Yeah.
You're on the tour if you can do that. Now, as we get into Manti Te'o and what he had to say about the Niners, it's really something, Chris, that we've been talking about just as far as, I mean, it's just exhausting. Yeah. Right. To go
take
through
vacation.
the L's. Yeah. Right.
Exhausting.
The Super Bowl loss to the same
Yeah.
team you've lost to before with really no excuses. We know Dre Greenlaw goes out. And now it seems like, and I'm seeing stuff with Adam Schefter on Pat McAfee talking about this holdout with Trent Williams might go into the season.
Yeah.
So this is a problem.
Yeah.
And Manti Te'o spoke on it on NFL Network and essentially said the vibes just seem to be off. Here it is.
There's a look that you see when somebody truly believes they're better than you. And I think for the past 5 to 10 years, we've got so accustomed to the San Francisco 49ers walking around not only the NFC West, but the NFL in general as these big bullies. You watch Trent Williams and Deebo Samuel come out of the locker room with that bump box, and you watch them get into that scuffle in the pregame, and you watch their dominant defense and their run game. We got so accustomed to that. Well, I flipped on the TV and watched their past 2 preseason games when their starters played. And I just see an emotionally drained team. They've been to the NFC Championship 4 in the past 5 years. They've been to the Super Bowl twice, and they lost that Super Bowl to the same team. It reminds me of when I was with the Saints in 2017. We had the Minneapolis Miracle. We had to suffer that. That is just emotionally draining. Then the very next year, we play the Rams in the NFC Championship, and we have the no-call PI. We go through that. I can only imagine for the San Francisco 49ers what that feels like. And then I put on, we just saw the Seattle Seahawks preseason game, and you see that party that's in there.
Yeah.
The first drive, Geno Smith goes down there, hits Jackson Smith and Jigba, hits DK Metcalf, and that's without Kenneth Walker. That's without Tyler Lockett. And they're out there having a blast. Mike Robb's on there. Michael Bennett's on the broadcast. It's just a party. It's not the same, when I watch the San Francisco 49ers.
Yeah, I mean, I don't want to. I think I almost called him too. I think Manti makes some really good points there for sure, and I don't necessarily disagree. I just think it's a bit overblown. Like, I think at the end of the day, the Niners are a really good team. They also don't have Christian McCaffrey out there, who's definitely going to be more involved just in the run. Like, they're not running the ball nearly as much as I think they would in the regular season because they don't have Christian McCaffrey. They don't have Trent Williams, which they might not have for the regular season. I don't think he's wrong. I definitely think the mental fatigue is absolutely a thing. I just don't necessarily think that 100% represents that this 49ers run is over. I think it's more just they definitely understand that there is only one mission that matters. And I mean, it's almost like the Kobe, I know Mamba Day was the other day, but it's like, job's not finished. Like there's nothing to have fun about because they have been so close year after year. What's the point of having fun? I mean, as cold as it sounds, what's the point of having fun in the preseason? What's the point of having fun in the regular season? Because they know that they're going to be judged by the Super Bowl. And so that's when they'll throw a party and have fun and look like they're having fun. Again, I'm not trying to take away anything Manti says, because I do think a lot of the things are accurate and definitely might come back to hurt the Niners this season. But I just think he's overrating it a little bit.
Yeah, I've been on this train for a while, man. And I do think that, we talk about the Buffalo Bills and we talk about other teams that have had to go through this and just how, I'm big on the mental side of things.
Yeah, for sure.
And when you have gone through what they went through and what they're still going through now, I think that's it to me. If it was just, we could really, and he didn't even bring up Trent or Ayuk, right? Because we can remove and we can say, okay, 4 out of the last 5 years ago in the NFC Championship, a couple tough Super Bowl losses, but they're just really focused. So that's why the vibes seem to be a little different. But you have that he talked about, and then you have everything that they're going through right now.
Right.
So that's why for me, I'm adding what he said onto what is currently happening. Mm-hmm. And that's why I think it is a bit of a big deal and it is exhausting, because it's not like they've just closed the book on last season and they're just moving forward. They're still dealing with different drama now.
Yeah.
So to me, I just look, and I also don't think that the Seahawks are going to win the division. And I don't know that he was going there, but I am cautious to be as high on the Niners as I've been in the past.
Oh, for sure.
And really, it just comes down to the fact that, the NFC is just, who is going to take control? I don't really have a lot of faith in the NFC, period. I think what's going to happen is the AFC, they're just going to beat each other up.
Sure.
Because that's what they do. And there can only be one winner. And you got the big, bad boogeyman and Patrick Mahomes. But a lot of these teams, is anybody right? It's the Niners, because they are the gold standard in the NFC. They have been. So I'm going to give them the benefit of the doubt, really, because I just don't know. Like I said, Jared Goff was not on my top quarterback list, so I'm not going to pick the Lions. This Packer train, to me, I think it's way overblown.
Yeah, we'll see.
I think there's way too much being talked about as far as the Green Bay Packers are concerned. And then the Eagles, I'm just not I don't really believe in Jalen Hurts. Did you see the thing? Somebody posted, it was an anonymous source, right? But or somebody in the league said that without Jason Kelce, Jalen Hurts, and I think you heard about this last year, but basically Kelce was doing a lot of the kind of pre-quarterback work, and without him, Jalen Hurts it's going to be interesting to see how Jalen Hurts, how he progresses. So
like making calls out at
exactly.
the line and stuff,
So I'm picking the Niners simply because I don't really trust anybody else in the end. And then you got the Cowboys, obviously.
Right, yeah.
I just don't really trust anybody else in the NFC, to be completely honest with you.
For sure. I mean, that's the thing, is like, okay, then who's it going to be? Because I don't want to say anything Manti said isn't true, because it is, but what does that mean? Like, I still think, again, they still know that they're one of the best teams in the NFL. They can still turn it on. And, I know we're going to talk about it at some point today, but I think a big reason why the Niners don't really care if Trent Williams misses some time is because they only care about the postseason. They care about peaking at the end of the year. They can lose. It's almost like the Denver Nuggets last season, even though the Nuggets did try and get the 1 seed late. But I think that they should treat it the same. And let's just make the tournament, and we will probably be one of the best teams in the tournament. We'll probably make it through our side of the bracket.
Yeah.
And we'll see what happens, because at the end of the day, we do have the best talent. It's just right now, it's not all together. Ayuk's out and Trent's out, and McCaffrey has his calf strain and things like that. But if those guys don't play until week 4, week 5, doesn't matter, as long as they're playing week 17, 18, and week 1 of the playoffs. So it's going to be a really interesting season for the Niners, just in terms of their intensity and how much they really care about the regular season. I do think, again, some of those warts might show that Manti's talking about throughout the season, but I think at the end of the day, these guys are focused enough to kind of understand when things actually matter. And I think that they do have the experience here to literally flip this. Well, I guess not literally, but to flip the switch and say, all right, it's business time. Let's do what we're all here to do. And then we can care about our own individual problems.
Coming up next, we talk a little bit of practice football, the preseason, and Trey Lance. Is the hype officially dead? 5 interceptions. How, Trey? Ooh. How? Stiles and Watkins, Sacktown Sports.
Subscribe to Sacktown Sports on YouTube and watch the Carmichael Dave Show with Jason Ross, Stiles and Watkins, and the Drive Guys. Live Monday through Friday from 6 to 6. Plus view archive shows and exclusive content.
Subscribe at youtube.com/Sacktown Sports.
Getting quality employees to fill positions in your company is essential, but finding those people can be a major hassle unless you use ZipRecruiter. ZipRecruiter makes finding quality people a breeze. ZipRecruiter's advanced technology identifies candidates with the right skills, sends you great matches, then you can easily invite them to apply. 4 out of 5 employers who post on ZipRecruiter get a quality candidate within the first day. See for yourself. Go to ZipRecruiter.com/free to try ZipRecruiter for free. That's ZipRecruiter.com/free.
Right now at Wendy's, you can get a small Frosty for $1. And literally everyone is going. The car behind you, going to get $1 Frosty. The car ahead of you, already had one, going for a second. The person who cut you off earlier, you guessed it, $1 Frosty. Maybe it's all a sign for you to go get one. Just don't cut anyone off. No one likes that person. The iconic Frosty for $1, gotta be Wendy's.
Limited time only at participating U.S. Wendy's. Not valid in a combo. Prices may be higher in Alaska, Hawaii, California via third-party delivery.
At Northern California's #1 Honda dealer, Stockton Honda, we make the dream of owning a new car easy and stress-free.
With prices that you just can't say no to. Save on our best selection of the year during the final days of the Honda Summer Event.
Come in today or go to StocktonHonda.com.
Anytime, anywhere, it's all here. StocktonHonda.com.
Number 1 claims based on 2023 total new and Honda certified pre-owned vehicle car sales from American Honda Motor Company sold on report.
Celebrate Sacramento Rivercats baseball during our 25th anniversary season. Pick your favorite weekly promotion, giveaway game, or theme night, and join the fun at Sutter Health Park. Stick around post-game every Friday and Saturday night as we light up the sky with the brightest fireworks in town. For a full promotion schedule and to buy tickets, visit rivercats.com. We'll see you there.
Labor Day, our annual celebration of workers and their achievements, was first observed in New York, and the first Monday in September became a national holiday in 1894. Hi, this is Frank LaRosa with a word about Naturewood Home Furnishings. Each year we commemorate Labor Day with parades, picnics, and family gatherings. And right now, Naturewood Home Furnishings is celebrating with their exceptional whole store Labor Day sale. Would you like to refresh your living room? Would you like to restyle your bedroom? Maybe you want to redesign your home office. No matter whether it's your dining room, kids' rooms, accents, or accessories, Naturewood's unique store-wide Labor Day sale offers savings in every department and savings on every brand like Stanton, Omnia, England, Stickley, Flex Steel, and all the rest of the award-winning furniture. When it comes right down to it, it's all about choices and always about quality. Visit Naturewood Home Furnishings right now for this remarkable Labor Day sale. Off Highway 50 at Hazel, look for the water wheel.
This is your captain. We are going to be experiencing some slight turbulence. Please fasten your... Oh, hold on. Just got a video of my cat.
Imagine the pilot of an airplane was as confident as you are texting and driving. Seems kind of crazy when you put it like that.
Visit StopTextStopWrecks.org. A message brought to you by the National Highway Traffic Safety Administration, Project Yellow Light, and the Ad Council.
Total Wireless is made to totally keep up with you. We now have unlimited data that never slows you down. Covered by the Verizon 5G network. And for less than $30 a month, we make your phone your ride or die. Switch now and pick a free 5G phone with qualified plan purchase. And your 4th line at no additional cost. Visit your local Total Wireless store today. Total Wireless, we're totally with you. Actual speeds may vary by location. For data management practices, see TotalWireless.com.
Live and local, it's Stiles and Watkins. Watch the show on youtube.com/Sacktown Sports 1140.
Or listen on the Sacktown Sports app.
Stiles and Watkins, Sacktown Sports, taking you up to 2 p.m. Of course, our Kings talk starts in 30 minutes at 11. By the way, you know him. You love him. The one and only Tom Segura is touching back down in Sacktown next Thursday, and we want to get you in the building. Exclusive Stiles and Watkins company tickets to enjoy the show. All you have to do is hit up the Folsom Icona hotline at 12 p.m. and we will give you a chance to win those tickets. Chris will pick the number since Chris is returning. Tom Segura at Thunder Valley Casino Resort on September 5th, courtesy of Thunder Valley. For more information, visit sacktownsports.com. And Chris and I, it's been so long since we did the show that we're fighting to not just continue to have these debates when the mics aren't on. But this one really isn't a debate, Chris. I mean, 5 interceptions for Trey Lance, and you said he had 2 fumbles as well. He threw for 324 yards. Obviously, how many starters are playing for either team, really. But it's over now, right?
Yeah, it's over. There's no more anybody calling and saying like, oh, but like they never gave Trey Lance a shot. Like we'll never know. This is not a Kanye West. Well, I guess we'll never know.
No,
we know. We now know. And I mean, even if it's not you're going to make your whole determination off of one preseason game, it's just the fact that he's now in year 3, year 4, and we're seeing this level. 5 interceptions we're talking, I don't know. I mean, name your favorite obscure Brock Osweiler quarterback. Like that's what we're talking with 5 interceptions. So I think the problem is just there is no, the mystery of the backup quarterback. The backup quarterback's always the most popular guy in town kind of thing with Trey Lance. We now know. We have now seen enough games to say, yeah, you can believe in his future, maybe if you so choose, but the proof is in the pudding at this point. He's not the guy who only had 8 games of tape since high school or whatever. We now know, okay, this guy at the very least is a developmental project in year 4. There is not, I mean, you can say some traits. I know he had a long run in that game as well, but I don't think you can necessarily at this point with all confidence say, hey, my team doesn't have an answer at quarterback. How is Trey Lance not at the top of our list? I think it's because he's still very, very, very clearly not a starting quarterback right now.
No, and just last week I believe against the Raiders, he did look good. But I mean, I wouldn't compare the preseason lineups and who we're seeing out there. It's not G League, but it's kind of close. It's kind of close to Summer League, G League. And if you cannot tell me, right, that you're watching guys like Caleb Williams and these dudes that are just coming straight from college, ready to go, and you cannot sit there with a straight face and say, I still see something with Trey. Not anymore. And I tried. I actually tried. And it's over now. And I think that the main thing is there are too many quarterbacks coming in, and you just know pretty quickly whether it's going to work or not. So I believe that 2 things can be true. Did he get the best shake or best opportunity with the Niners? No, he got injured. He had some tough breaks. We get all that. But at the same time, he is getting opportunities here with the Cowboys for a guy who, let's not sound crazy here. Jerry's probably thinking, I don't really want to pay. I don't really want to pay Dak. So if this thing could work out, this could be nice. And it's just not working. And I'm trying to think, Chris, off the top of my head, and Kyle, you can help as well. Name a quarterback that has stunk and then just figured it out. Is it Geno Smith?
Geno Smith didn't really stink. He just got his face broken by a teammate.
I'm not seeing the path. I'm not seeing a previous path that Trey Lance predecessor has taken, and it ended. Wow, this guy's going to be a dude. At best, he could be a
scratch starter.
Yes, at best. But there's no way that this guy is ever going to be a great quarterback.
Yeah, no, and I mean, even as a backup quarterback, like I think, what does everyone want in their backup quarterback? They want a Gardner Minshew. They want a guy who you put in. They want a Brian Hoyer. They want somebody who you put in I don't have to think about you making mistakes. I just want you to run the offense as best as you can because you're not the starter. And we already know we're down. I don't need you being a hero. I need you getting the ball to playmakers. That's not really, Trey Lance is still in the developmental portion of his career somehow where, he needs to be taking those shots. And funny enough, I mean, my first thought when I saw the game that Lance had was, why are we in year whatever? And this is the first time Trey Lance is putting up these kind of preseason numbers. To me, this is what the Niners should have been doing from day one of drafting Trey Lance. At least the Cowboys are running him out there and saying, look, you are a quarterback who lacks experience like no other.
Yeah.
I don't care if the games count or not. Let's just throw you out there, let you make all the mistakes now, and you'll figure it out year over year over year. But now Trey Lance is, again, in year 4, year 5, or whatever it is, and now he's doing what he probably should have been doing from day one, and that's being reckless, making mistakes. The problem is, like you said, the Cowboys have a quarterback situation where they need to figure it out this offseason. I believe Trey Lance is entering the final year of his contract this season.
Yeah.
He needed an answer way before this year, and unfortunately with these kind of preseason performances, unless we see him during the regular season, I think that he's always going to be brought in as a second or a third quarterback, and frankly is probably going to be somebody who's on the outside looking in.
It's a wrap.
I've got a quiz question for you guys. Since 2019, which was 6 calendar years ago, how many games of football has Trey Lance played? Like official counted games of football?
We're counting preseason as well?
No. Just official, like, college football, NFL games.
What? Well, there was COVID.
2 weeks, right?
Right.
In the season where he broke his leg. He started week 1, which was the monsoon, and then week 2 he hurt.
He had the
his leg.
Texans the year before.
The Texans game,
game.
where he went crazy.
I'm gonna say, including college,
since the end of 2019.
I'm going to say Trey Lance has played 17 games?
I'll say 10.
9. He has played 9 football games.
But I don't know what to do with that.
Is that 6 college games?
That's 1 college game, 8 games with the Niners.
I don't know what to do with that.
He has started 5.
That is just insane. Well, I guess, because he would check in and do that Lance package.
The Lance package.
Yeah.
It's over. You know what? I do have a question. And this might sound disrespectful.
Okay.
Should he think about changing positions?
What position would he play?
Tight end? I don't know.
I don't think it's going to help much.
Not at this point.
Yeah, I think
Logan Thomas did it?
I don't know.
He did it going into the pros.
Yeah.
I
don't know. Trey Lance is still younger than Bo Nix.
Yeah, he is young.
He is very, very young. And that's, maybe something that's working out for him, but I haven't seen enough. I don't think he is like a special. I mean, again, he had a nice 50-yard touchdown run, but I don't think he's like a crazy, spectacular, get this guy on the football field, Booby Miles type athlete.
Yeah.
The part where I disagree with you guys is he will never be a top 10 kind of quarterback in the NFL, but he could still be a starter for a bunch of years in the league. I'm not ready to write that off yet.
I am.
We're one Dak Prescott injury away from him taking over the Cowboys this year.
Which would be a disaster.
Very bad.
But it could
be a disaster.
But it could end in a playoff appearance and a team like the Raiders giving him a 2-year tryout.
It could, definitely, absolutely, to your point, Kyle, crazier things have happened than Trey Lance, a guy who is still, very young in his career, figuring out, just having a career in general. Who knows? Maybe he will figure out how to be a backup long-term, or maybe he will, Baker Mayfield it. Maybe that's your example of a guy who just looked batty, but even then, Baker made the playoffs with the Browns and definitely had some points in which he looked really good. I just don't see it. I think a big part of Trey Lance too is going to be the Tim Tebow factor. The fact that he's a name, like if you're bringing Trey Lance into camp, we saw, the Niners pretty much got rid of him because so many questions were asked about him. And I know the Niners situation might've been a little bit different, but if Trey Lance walks into any building, people are going to ask the question, well, what's the plan with Trey Lance? Unless you have a definite starter, an undeniable Josh Allen's, your top 10 quarterbacks in the league, I think the second, a Geno Smith were to play a bad couple weeks, people would start asking, hey, you have Trey Lance here, former number 5 pick in the draft. Do you plan on playing him? And I think that's going to be a big hindrance for teams that are going to want to keep him long term.
Yeah. Somebody on the Sack Chat is saying, could he be the new Taysom Hill? Something like that.
Taysom's that boy thick. Like Taysom can play tight end. He can play running back. He can play quarterback. He can take all the hits and no problem. Trey Lance, I mean, we haven't seen him take many hits, period.
Yeah.
And the ones he hasn't gone well, the ones that he has taken.
Coming up next, a little bit of nightmare fuel. If you are claustrophobic, be thankful that you were not on the Chargers this past weekend. Stiles and Watkins, Sacktown Sports.
I didn't ask to be thrown in the streets with nowhere to go. I didn't think I'd survive. But I did ask for help, and Covenant House was there for me.
1 in 10 young adults will experience a form of homelessness this year. For these kids who didn't ask to be put in this unthinkable situation, Covenant House is there.
Covenant House helped me break the cycle of homelessness in my family. They gave me the love that I needed.
Over 2,000 young people will sleep safely in a Covenant House bed tonight. When youth who are experiencing homelessness have a hot meal, a safe place to sleep, medical care, and love, they can overcome heartbreaking challenges and have a brighter future.
They just really genuinely just wanted to help me succeed, and I'm succeeding. I'm a speaker, I'm an author. Covenant House really helped me and really helped mold me into the woman I am today.
If you or someone you love is asking for help, go to safeplacetosleep.org today.
I'm Ken Korak with your Green and Gold Report, brought to you by Xfinity Mobile. Connect to the most reliable 5G network nationwide. Well, when the A's blanked the Rays 3-0 on the 19th, it marked the A's 11th shutout this year, and that's third best in the American League. It also was their 54th win, so 16 more for 70. Now, the A's won just 50 games a year ago, so a 20-game improvement last year to this year, that would be pretty impressive.
Want to save on some of the biggest names in streaming on the network made for streaming? Now through September 21st, get 150 megabit Xfinity internet for 12 months with a 1-year contract. And for just $15 a month, add the new Stream Saver that includes Peacock, Apple TV Plus, and Netflix for just $35 a month. Switch at Xfinity.com today. Restrictions apply. Requires paperless billing and auto pay to store bank account. Equipment taxes and fees extra. After promo, regular internet rates apply. Currently $54 a month. Actual speeds vary. Stream Saver requires Xfinity internet or TV and price subject to change.
Toyota's national sales event is on now through Labor Day weekend. It's time to keep your summer going with the new Toyota Hybrid and its incredible MPG. That means fewer fill-ups and more adventure. Choose from Toyota's 16 hybrid and electrified models, more than any other brand. And go the distance with Toyota's class-leading fuel efficiency and reliability. There's one for everybody. Hit the open road in your new Toyota Hybrid and live it up in California. Hurry in today. Toyota, let's go places.
The PGA club fitters at the Hagen Oaks Player Performance Studio know that golf should be fun. They also know that players of all abilities will hit the ball farther and straighter, play better golf, shoot lower scores, and have more fun if they get fitted before they purchase golf clubs. Hagen Oaks delivers the same technology and major brands used to fit PGA and LPGA professionals. See how the game can be even more fun. Hagen Oaks Player Performance Studio fittings are available 7 days a week. Make yours today by calling 916-808-2531. That's 808-2531.
I would end the day with sore feet, sore legs. The drugstore inserts that I was purchasing were really not very useful at all. I walked into the Good Feet store and the guy kind of grinned at me and said, I hear that a lot. I was living with chronic pain before going to the Good Feet store. Now I don't really have that problem. I'm able to do the things that I expect to be able to do, even at my advanced age. I feel pretty good about what's going on.
Come to the Good Feet store now for a free fitting and test walk.
It's Capital Casino, Sacramento's #1 poker room. And guess what? Primetime football is back. Capital Casino is giving away $500 per game in high hand bonuses for every Sunday, Monday, and Thursday night primetime game. As always, offering the best food, the best service, and the best action with the most variety of games in the region, conveniently located in downtown Sacramento. So check them out, Capital Casino, and always remember to gamble responsibly. 1-800-GAMBLER.
Labor Day savings now at Maida Chevy with $12,000 off MSRP on every new Silverado half-ton Turbo Max in stock after rebates.
$12,000 off every Silverado LT Turbo Max at Maida Chevy with at least 5 at this price.
Labor Day savings up to $12,000 off MSRP exclusively at Maida Chevy at MaidaChevy.com. Sacramento Silverado headquarters. Together, let's drive.
Not available with special financing and leasing. Some other offers must trade in 2010 model year or newer. Ends 9/3/24.
Make a great deal at Maida.
Live and local, 6 a.m. to 6 p.m., Monday through Friday. Sacktown Sports.
So this story is going around, and Chris, I think I told you about this when I was in Reno, but
oh yeah,
I got stuck
Your
in an
adventure,
elevator.
yeah.
But it probably was about 10 seconds, nothing like this. The Chargers get stuck, and Dallas Fire Rescue said the elevator was stuck in a blind shaft between the 3rd and 15th floors of the Westin Hotel in downtown Dallas. A technician was unsuccessful in an attempt to get the elevator working, causing DFR to send its urban search and rescue team to the hotel. About 15 people were involved. This is my nightmare, Chris.
Yes.
My nightmare.
It is, I mean, quite literally the last thing that you would want to happen, I would think, is, it's I don't know if you've ever spent some time at Disneyland or anything like that, but they used to have the Tower of Terror.
Mm-hmm.
Now it's the Guardians of the Galaxy, I think. Mm-hmm. And that I think that definitely successfully fueled a lot of nightmares for a long time. It's just people being like, I'm going to walk into this elevator and it's going to release me and I'm going to fall and plummet about 30 stories. And, I think a lot of people are very, very terrified of this, but thankfully, in the words of Jim Harbaugh, thankfully they had Justin Herbert there.
Yeah. And here's the sound now. Jim Harbaugh just being Jim Harbaugh on the whole situation. Here it is.
I think 11 or 12 of our players were there for about 2 hours. And, that's a shared experience. I mean, brought them closer together. I just missed it, being on that elevator. And it's like, I wish I could have been there with those guys, And but Justin Herbert was, and the remarkable things that came out of it was, to a guy, Tarheeb, young rookie player, it's like, wow, Justin Herbert's a leader. I mean, he was a rock, kept everybody calm. And Jerry Fouts told me the same thing, pulled me aside after they got out, and just how great Justin was. And everybody kept their poise, and, you get in those situations and it's a test of wills. And I was proud of each of the guys and the two women that were on that elevator. I mean, that's a win. You feel good about yourself. You were challenged, and it was a test of will, and you pull it down, or pull it in. One of the two. But there's a camaraderie amongst that group that is even stronger than it was.
I love the jealousy. It's so great.
I wouldn't be surprised if he was behind it. If he set this up.
This is like the world's best
team building.
Yeah, what's the escape rooms?
Yes.
He's like, this'll bring the guys together. I heard him at the lunch table, they were arguing. Mm-hmm. Nothing gets a group together like getting trapped in an elevator. I could see Harbaugh just, wearing like a fake, a handyman suit or something, climbing in the shaft, just cutting. Yeah. He's like, this is going to be awesome. This is going to be so sick.
Plot twist.
Justin's going to be there. So it's all going to be good. Oh man. Yeah. Just the way in which you could legitimately feel that he was actually envious that he was not one of the few that was trapped in the elevator, so that, as he says, your will could be tested. It's a test of wills, and it's a win. That's a football coach right there, man. Yeah. That's a freaking football coach.
I haven't laughed that hard in like 2 days until hearing that
pull it
sound.
Down, pull it in. Come on.
He's just a weird dude, man. That is a weird dude.
He is not normal. That's for sure. But
he's unique.
That's what you want from your football coach. Yeah. Like, football's the only place where it's like, I don't know. Maybe I'm just a traditionalist in this sense, but I do like my football coaches very unstable in this way, where it's just like, you really you love competing. Yeah. You love just the nature of all of this. And Jim Harbaugh is very unapologetically him.
Yes. Yeah. So that
But
was.
I don't even think he realizes either. Just like
No.
what's so strange about wanting to be in an elevator.
Later on, this is a 5-minute clip.
It is.
and
I had to have you clip a very specific.
Later on, he says, "Who's got it better than those guys stuck in an elevator?"
He literally did. I almost told you to include it, but I was like, it's like 3 minutes later, and he's like, "Yeah, who's got it better than those guys?" You remember the who's got it better than us? Nobody. Who's got it better than those 10 people trapped in an elevator for a couple hours?
Yeah.
I mean, who doesn't want their will tested like that,
Well, speaking of testing wills, I don't know if you've seen this, Chris, but there was a huge brawl at the Niners-Raiders preseason game.
I did not.
Then I'm just during the break, just
you're talking about on the
refreshing.
field. No, in the stands.
Fans.
Oh gosh. Yes,
fans.
I did see a part of that.
And I just saw another fight, and it was the Broncos dude, a Broncos fan, getting knocked out. And I'm just curious. I mean, obviously there are a lot of beverages involved and consumed, but this fighting thing we talk about it every year. And this fighting thing at NFL games, I mean, it's a problem. It's a problem to me, man.
Yeah, I don't think it's just at NFL games. I think it's at any sporting event. I mean, you go to Kings Lakers, you'll see fights in the stands. You'll see, you go to soccer games. I mean, you want to talk about real riots and brawls, you'll see them at soccer games. I think it's just, it definitely, like you said, it definitely has a lot to do with the beverages. But it's definitely a problem in sports that I don't know how any of them are, how we're going to solve it without just like incredible security measures where, teams are like in soccer, they literally have a fan section. Like, hey, if you're an opposing fan, you get these 20 rows and that's where you're going to sit. And you can sprinkle them here and there if you're just buying tickets. There's no way of really completely separating them. But that to me is the best way of maybe doing it, and just having the lines or the rows just lined with security guards and things like that. But I don't know how you fix a problem like that.
Well, I just don't think
you have to start cutting off drinks at halftime. Then it starts to, the acts of a few bad apples ruins it for everybody, which is how it goes. But to me, that's the only way that you solve it, is by either literally separating the problem or by taking away their fuel.
Yeah. I brought up the NFL.
Taking away the fuel.
No. Well, NFL, I feel like, and maybe you would say the same thing about soccer, but it's just the timeline where you're just drinking. I mean, the tailgating, it's just ridiculous.
The entirety of the day from 8 a.m. on.
Yeah. But I was going to say, even though that's a situation, who could forget Suns in 4? Yeah. Right. So
absolutely.
NBA, it's everywhere.
Jokic's brother just
Jokic's brother.
Yeah. I mean, it's a real problem. And I mean, you could definitely argue that you can blame the fan section off and the drinks as much as you want. It really is a person-to-person problem. It's definitely more of an individual problem than a group problem. But yeah, I mean, I think it's just, you put these fans in environments in which, sometimes it can get a little testy. Again, Kings Warriors always gets a little testy. Kings Lakers gets a little testy, and people get upset, people, drink and all these things. I just don't think there's any way of actually solving it, unfortunately. And it's just, people have to be better. That's the only way, is to keep everybody, you have to be accountable. I mean, it's people in the stands, the people sitting next to you, even if you are, even if it is a Kings fan yelling at a Laker fan, you got to be the one to step in and say, hey man, like, let's relax. Like, we don't do that here or something, you got to be a little bit self-accountable as well. But that's not fair. That's not anybody in the stands job. So it's a little bit tough, but yeah, I mean, I don't really know how you solve something like that.
From the 209.
I'm sure Jim Harbaugh would love to solve that problem.
With an elevator. Unpopular opinion: ban alcoholic beverages at these events. The real fans will still show up. I know
you're
venues,
just not making money.
Yeah, they go on to say, I know venues won't do that because it's such a moneymaker. Yeah, and you can't really, again, like you said, it's a few bad apples, and now nobody gets to enjoy anything. And those people will probably, like you said, they'll
drink at the tailgate.
Exactly.
Right? Like,
I don't
just
even
show
know.
up ready to
I
go.
think they're already sauced
Yeah.
when they get there. I don't
100%,
know how much
you don't do it
people are
at the
getting
game. Yeah,
sauce.
exactly.
Yeah.
Nobody's spending $150 at a game to get sauced like that.
To then get into a fight after you've just spent over $100.
Exactly. You're already
You got bigger
cooking.
problems.
Yeah, you're already cooking. So yeah, I'm just seeing the man, and it's it's football season. People are fighting, but somebody in the sec chat just said there was a big fight at Giants A's as well.
It's everywhere, man.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, yeah, even in baseball. I mean, yeah, we know the really terrible story of the Giants and Dodgers.
Yeah.
What happened in the parking lot in that situation? What was that? That was like 10 years ago at this point.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I mean, it could be bad in any sport. And you know what? Again, we can blame the alcohol, but I really think that it adds to it. But it really is just a couple bad actors that are really ruining it for everybody. But that is also just society. So I don't really know how you solve it, but I definitely think that taking alcohol away would definitely help. But I do think in general, it's just it's uncomfortable, but you do have to stand up and try and, calm people down before they get to that level as well.
Coming up next, it's time for some Kings talk. ESPN.com predicts how many wins the Kings will have. And surprise, surprise, according to ESPN, not in the play-in. Stiles and Watkins, Sacktown Sports.
Keegan Murray plays here.
Keegan scores another three-pointer. Keegan Murray knocking it down for 23 points. Match De'Aaron Fox for game scoring honors.
Sacktown Sports is your proud home of the Sacramento Kings.
Hey, this is Greg Papa. Are you working through a major insurance claim? SunPoint Public Adjusters can help. SunPoint prepares, presents, and negotiates your claim with the insurance company, working only for you, making sure you get everything you're entitled to, not what just some adjuster working for an insurance company thinks you should get. Call SunPoint today at 888-247-7865 or contact us at sunpoint.us. SunPoint Public Adjusters, the gold standard in public adjusting.
License number 2N14884.
What sets Ashton & Price apart from other injury law firms? I'll tell you. From beginning to end, all important legal decisions are made directly between our clients and their experienced local attorney. A gate agent flying the plane, the receptionist performing surgery, not a chance. There's simply no substitute for the unique power of the direct attorney-client relationship offered by Ashton & Price. And there's never a fee until we win, and between you and me, we win a lot.
Remember, for the best advice, don't think twice. Call Ashton and Price.
The PGA club fitters at the Hagen Oaks Player Performance Studio know that golf should be fun. They also know that players of all abilities will hit the ball farther and straighter, play better golf, shoot lower scores, and have more fun if they get fitted before they purchase golf clubs. Hagen Oaks delivers the same technology and major brands used to fit PGA and LPGA professionals. See how the game can be even more fun. Hagen Oaks Player Performance Studio fittings are available 7 days a week. Make yours today by calling 916-808-2531. That's 808-2531.
Get Labor Day savings right now at Folsom Lake Kia. Coach Christie here reminding you, if you're in the market for a new car, shop Folsom Lake Kia for low payments now through Labor Day. FolsomLakeKia.com.
KHTKAM Sacramento, KYMX HD2 Sacramento. From the Power Business Technology Toshiba Studios, your flagship station for the Beam Team.
Should we light the beam? Light the beam, baby.
Sacktown Sports. Live and local, it's Stiles and Watkins. Watch the show on youtube.com/Sacktown Sports 1140.
Or listen on the Sacktown Sports app.
A bit of breaking news, not for the Niners or the Kings, but ESPN. This is from Adam Schefter 1 minute ago. Cowboys and All-Pro wide receiver CeeDee Lamb reached an agreement today on a record 4-year, $136 million deal that now makes him the second highest paid non-QB in NFL history. The deal includes a $38 million signing bonus, largest ever given to a wide receiver. And again,
34 mil a year.
34 mil a year. $38 million signing bonus. And now, if you were to tell me, Chris, and I guess it's all about leverage, if you were to tell me that CeeDee Lamb, just based on the back and forth with Jerry Jones, and we're not in a, didn't he just say last week, we're not in a rush?
No rush.
And the deal is done. And Brandon Ayuk's deal still isn't, the Brandon Ayuk saga continues. I really thought that Brandon Ayuk would be done before CeeDee, but at the same time, Chris, I mean, all they have is CeeDee. You talk about leverage, and he knew that.
Yes.
Right? I mean, that offense without CeeDee
it's not an offense.
Is garbage.
Yeah.
It's garbage. So CeeDee Lamb gets his bag, and Brandon Ayuk is still waiting. I don't know how this – do you think this affects the Brandon Ayuk deal at all? I mean, CeeDee Lamb is better than Brandon Ayuk.
Yeah. I think it affects it just in the – like, I don't think it actually affects negotiations, but it is kind of exactly what you were pointing at. I think it's just the fact that, well, the Cowboys said they were in no rush to do it, and then a week later they get it done. So I think I don't know which side gains more leverage from that or which side uses that towards their argument, but I definitely think it is something that the Cowboys got their entire process of this done before the Niners were even able to go back to the table with Ayuk to try and get this thing done. So I definitely think it means something. But yeah, I mean, CeeDee was always going to get way more money than Ayuk was. I don't really think this should affect him. Maybe again, it does just hard line that there is a certain caliber of player that goes over 30 mil. I just don't know if Ayuk is that. I don't know, again, if that changes the conversation around the contract. But it definitely doesn't. It doesn't feel like it helps the Ayuk situation get resolved any faster.
Yeah, I mean, when the DJ Moore I'm done getting duped, right? When the DJ Moore thing happened, we thought, okay, this is gonna force the Niners' hand. When someone else got some, okay, this is gonna, and it just hasn't. The numbers are the numbers, so it doesn't really matter probably to the Niners. We know what the market is, and we know what we previously tried to give you wasn't enough. Now we're just trying to get there. So I think at this point, it doesn't make a difference.
Yeah, I wouldn't think so. I mean, again, maybe it brings the conversation more towards, okay, again, like Ayuk isn't a CeeDee Lamb, but he is close to the tier next to a CeeDee Lamb. And so maybe, again, that pushes from the Ayuk side him more close or over that $30 million number. But this is also tough because we don't know the exact numbers, right? I mean, it's been the reported numbers of 26 to 27 and a half to Ayuk wanted 28 initially. And maybe that number's higher now than it was before. I don't think it pushes anything closer to it, but it's not a good look for this entire situation. And, I think it is. I will have to compliment the Cowboys for them getting this done. I think a lot of people had doubts, especially with Dak's contract coming up. Like, will Jerry Jones be willing to cash out the money? Even though we all know CeeDee Lamb's definitely worth it. Jerry is quite old. He's trying to win a Super Bowl before he's no longer with us. And it was a big question. And I think it definitely helps other receivers get their dollar figure, but I don't know if this really helps Ayuk's situation at all.
It doesn't seem like anything is helping Ayuk's situation. So we'll see. And the Cowboys got their guy as we are about to get into some Kings talk. ESPN.com, Chris, actually giving the Kings a little bit of love, I'd say, anytime you're not in the play. And I think that's a little bit of love, especially in this West, but you got the exact numbers for us.
Yeah. So as we know, the Kings over under from the Vegas side is 45.5. And a lot of debate has been going back and forth. 46. I'm sorry, 46.5. And there's been a lot of debate on, is that disrespectful? Do the Kings, who won 46 games last year, how much better are they this year? Are they even better? And can they get to that 48 win mark again? Well, I'll tell you this, ESPN.com doesn't have the Kings reaching 48 wins, which you might initially say, well, that's just, again, another national media site that is downplaying the Kings' success. However, they still have the Kings as a 6th seed with 47 wins predicted in their most recent column. They have the Kings actually listed in the contender tier of the Western Conference. They split the Western Conference up into 3 different groups: the contenders, the play-in group, and the bottom 5. We'll get into the bottom 5 in a second, as there is a team in there that I think a lot of Kings fans will love to see. However, let's go through the contenders first. OKC, they have predicted as 57 wins as the number 1 seed. Minnesota, the number 2 seed with 54 wins. Dallas, the number 3 seed with 52, and Denver with 52 as the 4 seed. And then the Phoenix Suns slip in right above the Kings with 49 wins in this ESPN.com prediction. And then the Sacramento Kings, again, still in the contender tier of this article, 47-35. And their only little write-up for the Kings, as they kind of explain the entire contenders, they say rounding out the top 6 are 2 teams who have new looks in 24-25 for different reasons. The Suns hope for improved health from their big 3 of Kevin Durant, Devin Booker, and Bradley Beal, who shared the court for just 41 games last season. And we talked a lot about that during last year, that the Suns kept their head above water, even though the 3 of those guys felt like they never played together on the same night all year. They then write, the Kings, meanwhile, added all-star DeMar DeRozan, who joins De'Aaron Fox to create one of the most clutch backcourts in the entire league. That is the only write-up that they have on the Kings. So at the very least, you can read into that. And this is written by ESPN staffers, not just a single ESPN member. It's from the entirety of their basketball staff. And so, yeah, they do have good feelings about the Kings. Obviously, we know that a lot of writers haven't been as high on the DeMar DeRozan edition, thinking that it could lead to more ball stopping and just less good play for the Sacramento Kings, especially on the defensive end. ESPN.com clearly not feeling that way. In this article, in the play-in group, they have the New Orleans Pelicans, 46 wins predicted. The Golden State Warriors are predicted as the 8th seed at 45 wins. I think that's a little bit high, but it is a tight margin of error, as they have the Memphis Grizzlies and the Houston Rockets rounding out the play-in, both with 44 wins. And for those keeping track at home, that means that both LA teams are predicted to be on the outside looking in the bottom 5. ESPN.com predicts that the Lakers will finish 44-38 as the 11 seed, and the LA Clippers will finish 43-39. 2 teams finishing above 500 and not making the playoffs at all. Again, really does speak to how deep the Western Conference can be, but you also love to see potential for the Lakers to not make the playoffs. I'm not super surprised by the Clippers with them losing Paul George and them relying so much on Kawhi, but seeing the Lakers in the bottom 5, a little bit shocking there.
Yeah, and we'll talk a little bit later about the report. The Lakers are already eyeing Luka, and that's part of the reason they're trying to keep their assets for whenever LeBron is done. But yeah, I mean, it is surprising that the Lakers just haven't done anything. They have not done anything this offseason. And they're, we know the price tags on a lot of these players, the Cam Johnsons of the world. Yeah. A lot of these guys, the prices never dropped, and they didn't have to drop, right? The Nets weren't in a rush to deal anybody. And really, the Lakers, everybody thought that they were going to be very desperate, right? And when that whole thing came up about Jeremy Grant and how I think somebody inside the Lakers said, yeah, the Blazers are crazy if they think they're getting 2 first-rounders. And the Blazers said, okay, then we're crazy. Then don't get Jeremy Grant, because we don't necessarily want to deal him. You are the team, like you said, Chris, with the Lakers and the Warriors. You are the team trying to beat Father Time, right? You are the one on the timeline. No, we're not doing anything. So it's really up to you. And the Lakers, to me, it's hard. To this day, it is still hard to see them just not doing anything before the season starts. And then the trade, I just think the trade deadline, and we've talked about this before, and we just saw this happen really for one of the first times, I feel like, with the Mavs, how everybody they got at the trade deadline, they hit. They hit on them. But most of the time, you're not going to switch up your starting lineup towards the end of the season and take a huge swing and have it work out for you. So it's hard for me to think that the Lakers are just going to try to survive and then get into a mode where they're chasing. Right. And then you're even more. When are they going to be more desperate, now or when they're currently the 11 seed and everybody says it's still 2 lapped, right? Yeah, it's still 2 first rounders for Jeremy Grant. So I have no clue what they're doing, but as far as the Kings are concerned, I don't really have a problem with the with the writers putting them as a 6 seed with 47 wins. I think that from the assuming health with everyone, that probably makes the most sense to me. And I know we're right there as far as the Nuggets are concerned and the Mavericks. I just think between one of those teams is not going to be a 3 or a 4 seed. I don't know which one, but I just can't see both of those teams being 3-4.
Agreed. Yeah. And I think it's Denver. I mean, I have really feel passionately about Denver going under on their win-loss over under. I just think losing KCP is huge. I think, Jokic is another year older. Not that that's necessarily a bad thing at all, but just the more weight that you want him to carry for the team, I think it's obviously going to be tougher and tougher for him to do. Jamal Murray looked like trash during the Olympics. I don't know what to do about that information. And defensively, I mean, I just think that they're going to be a lot worse than they've been in the past. And I don't know how they're going to solve that. I mean, the West continues to get better, and I don't think the Nuggets got better at all this offseason. And, I do think a team like Dallas, I kind of feel like a lot of people are overrating them. I think a lot of people are taking their postseason success and trying to predict that into the future. They're fine. They are a scary team. They're definitely one of the best 6 teams in the Western Conference. I'm just not very confident that they're going to be fighting for the top seeds like this suggests. I think that they're still going to run into their fair share of problems. Kyrie Irving was suspiciously healthy and not a problem last season in general. I don't know how long that'll last. Luka, I don't know if you saw over the weekend, you see that video of Gordon Dragic's farewell game where Jokic is throwing self lobs and Chris Bosh is out there playing. Luka looks like he's in off-season shape, is what I would say. All the weight that Zion apparently lost, he transferred over to Luka because he looks incredibly out of shape, which is completely different than the last time we saw him at the end of the season. People were talking, oh my God, if Luka can look like this for his entire career, look out. And it seems like he's kind of fallen back off the wagon there in terms of his conditioning. So I just feel like the Kings are a very, very healthy team. In terms of like their aspirations. DeMar DeRozan, 35 years old, never really had a super deep playoff run. He's been incredibly healthy just throughout his career. It wouldn't surprise me if the Kings surprise a lot of people and even play better than the number 6 seed. And I do think Phoenix is a good shout to be in the top 5. I definitely think last year was about as bad as it's going to get.
Right.
I could see a Minnesota type, maybe not that extreme of a leap, but in the same way Minnesota looked rough that first year after the Gobert trade. And then obviously they did what they did last year. It really wouldn't surprise me if Phoenix kind of has I guess I'll call it a version of a last dance because I don't know how much longer KD can really play at this level. So it wouldn't surprise me at all if Phoenix is a really, really tough out this year.
Who would you be more confident in to get their second ring? Jokic or Giannis?
Probably Giannis. I would say Giannis.
Because he's in the East?
I just think that his situation's a little bit better, and I am also part of the population that thinks Jokic is going to retire by the time he's 34. He just doesn't seem to love NBA like
kind of feel like Giannis might retire by the time he's 34 too. I mean, what more does he have left to kind of prove at this point? He already talked about kind of wanting to retire in 2020 when everything was getting real messy for him. I don't think Giannis has that many years left in the league.
Yeah, I think it's an interesting question because they both just randomly got their ring. You know what I mean? And I'm not high on the Nuggets. I've told you multiple times. And the Bucks got Damian Lillard, but nobody seems to care.
Sure.
And the whole thing, you know what it kind of reminds me of? It kind of reminds me of the Jets getting Aaron Rodgers. It was the Jets, all they need is a quarterback. All they need is a quarterback. They got the defense, they got the offense, they get their quarterback, and just nobody is really talking about the Jets. And I get it. Damian Lillard, they were both injured, really.
Yeah.
The Bucks, Damian Lillard needs to be in a winning situation. All this whole thing happened, and then you're just not as good. And it is an East where it's floor, and I would say maybe it's ceiling, both getting higher. I mean, you do have Paul George now back in the East
for sure.
with the Sixers. You got the Celtics, obviously.
Yeah, the Knicks.
So I don't know if the Knicks as well. If you're making me choose, you said Giannis.
Yeah, I think the East is easier too.
I think it's probably Giannis, but I don't feel very confident that either of them will get another one, to be honest with you.
I mean, it also wouldn't surprise me if Giannis leaves that situation at some point. Again, I would think that Jokic he just doesn't seem very interested in the politics of the NBA either. And I don't think he's going to get super involved in trade requests and demanding out. I think if that situation spoils in an appropriate amount of time, I think that I think that there's reason to believe that he would potentially call it quits and just, be happy with his horses and all that stuff.
He's 29.
The Giannis stuff, I haven't seen any of the stuff Kyle's referring to. I mean, I just don't know if there's enough actual real breadcrumbs to suggest that Giannis would retire before his body gives out on him, or before he's, 37, 38, before his skill kind of deteriorates.
They're both 29, by the way.
That feels about right. I mean, but Giannis has just also been in the league for so long at this point that, it feels like he's been here forever. But no, I mean, I definitely think Giannis probably has the better track. And let's not forget Damian Lillard last year was traded a couple days before the season even started. So I think it's a bit unfair to try and judge what he's going to be for that Bucks team based off of last year, where he just kind of got shotgunned together. And let's not forget, they fired their head coach, like a month and a half into the season, and then bring in Doc Rivers. So it wouldn't surprise me if the Bucks are a lot better this year than they were last year.
Hey, just blow it up. Bucks, blow it up and get Bobby Portis to Sacramento. That's all I care about. That's all I care about. I tried this weekend again.
Let it fly.
I tried the trade generator, and it just still won't work.
Haven't changed.
It still will not work. Coming up next, we have the most underrated and overrated Kings of all time, and Whitey and Drapes revealing their top 40. They're starting to reveal all of it, and we have some honorable mentions that we will go over. Stiles and Watkins, Sacktown Sports.
Hey, it's Carmichael Dave for American Energy Heating and Air with a question. Have you recently had a technician diagnose your HVAC system and you were a bit surprised at how much it cost? Or did something seem off about their quote? Because at American Energy, they take pride in giving you honest, straightforward solutions to get that system up and running. Have their qualified technicians come out and give you a free second opinion. It's free. You got nothing to lose but some dollars off of that original quote. They're making the uncomfortable comfortable. They've been doing it since 1981, serving the greater Sacramento area. A+ with the Better Business Bureau. That's why they keep having customers coming back for more and more and more. You can call them and set that appointment at 916-520-9990. That's 916-520-9990 or AmericanEnergyAir.com.
Call 916-520-9990 now.
Your flagship station for the Beam Team, Sacktown Sports.
$45 minutes, you'll have a chance to win Tom Segura tickets, courtesy of Thunder Valley. That is at 12 o'clock. If you are listening on the Sacktown Sports app, might want to make the switch pretty soon here to AM if you don't want to hit that delay and want your chance, want a fair shake at these Tom Segura tickets as we get back into this Kings talk and most underrated and overrated. Chris, so you've done this exercise as well with the top 40, and you have an honorable mention list that you want to break down.
Yes. So first off, on the underrated, overrated, I've on my social medias over the weekend or over my vacation, I decided to put out on Twitter, on the Twitter machine, that a popular trend that I've been seeing. I saw it in Viking circles. I've seen it on a couple other sport page Reddits as well. And I thought it'd be a fun exercise for the Sacramento Kings to go day by day and try and get a poll of people in my comments section. Going over day by day. We've already done most underrated, most overrated. Today we are voting on the best Sacramento King of all time. Tomorrow it'll be the worst Sacramento King of all time. There's going to be some other fun ones like funniest king, best perimeter defender, most athletic, best in the post, those kind of things. So you can go, I'll self-promote here and self-plug. You can follow my Twitter page at Chris M. Watkins to go be a part of that. And every single day at around 9 a.m. we'll be revealing what the result from the previous day was. And so far, we've done 2. Like I said, we've done most underrated and most overrated Sacramento Kings of all time. And the polling, don't get mad at me, get mad at the fan base, get mad at the polls. On day 1, for the most underrated Sacramento King of all time, we got one Kevin Martin, kind of ran away with a lot of the votes. And then on day 2, we made things a little bit tight. Can't lie, nobody wants to go on record and say, oh, I know everybody loved this guy, but I actually think he's pretty weak. For the most overrated Sacramento King of all time, and I promise I had no say in any of this. I just did what the people wanted. One Jason Williams, J. Will, makes the most overrated slot for the most overrated Sacramento King of all time. Like I said, right now, today, we are doing a poll for who is the best Sacramento King player of all time. Chris Webber, of course, is leading the early returns. And the day after that, tomorrow, we will do the worst Sacramento King of all time. I'm very, very excited to see how that one goes. Because I will say, obviously, it's all great to give people flowers and stuff, but the negatives are always the thing that really gets to be the most annoying king of all time, the most wasted potential of all time. That's really going to get the people going. So I'm excited for those. You can, again, go vote on that on my Twitter page at Chris M. Watkins.
Are you sure you had nothing to do? Because you
not a single thing. I didn't even I didn't
narrative.
Put options, nothing. I just said day 2. Who is the most overrated Sacramento Kings player of all time? The player with the most replies in 24 hours wins. That's all I left it at. And, again, you can't argue with the people.
So in this game, are we allowed to have multiple people in multiple spots? Or is it like if you fill one, you can't get it again?
I've got no rules. So okay. I'm just going to go with whatever gets the most votes is who gets the square. So, there's Jay Will. This is from Ryan Whaley. Jay Will. I'm not saying he's bad. I'm just saying I've had quite a few people tell me he's better than Fox. He was a good player with great highlights, but people act like he was an all-star. Boy, that sounds like I wrote that.
That literally sounds. Did you write that?
I did not write that. Ryan Whaley on Twitter wrote it. Run with Fox, said Jason Williams. Let's see here. There was a couple Never Nervous. There was a couple DeMarcus Cousins in there. Jay Will, this is from Clemente. Jay Will, dude was amazingly spectacular, but erratic a lot of the time. Alex says, Jay Will, easy. Jay Will, and then somebody puts the Michael Scott, like gritting his teeth, like, ugh. And I think that's how a lot of people feel. Nobody wants to admit it, but it just is what it is. Somebody put Yorgos Papagiannis. That's obviously a joke. Rudy Gay got a vote. Chris Webber did get a vote. Tyrese Halliburton got a vote. But yet again, the people decided that Jason Williams is the most overrated king of all time. And just for those wondering at home, some of the others receiving votes for the most underrated, you had a couple Marcus Thorntons. You did have a couple Domantas Sabonis in there, which I think is interesting. And a lot of those people more made note of from the national media perspective. Definitely agree with that. But Kevin Martin really did run away with that one. So there you go. Most underrated and most overrated. And as the week goes on, we'll definitely update the radio listening audience as to how those polls are going. But yet again, as we said, Whitey and Drapes are hosting, I'm going to call it hosting, a top 40 Kings of all time list this week, which definitely want to go check that out on the Drive Guys every single day. And I believe, we'll ask Whitey when he comes in later. I believe today they are doing honorable mentions, and I was honored to be one of those that was selected to make my own top 40 list to be submitted for their, I think they really have like 15 to 20 people putting these lists together. So they're really going to get a good gauge as to how the top 40 Kings is laid out. But I decided to reveal some of my honorable mentions. And again, throughout the week, I think we can share just exactly how my list looks. But these are some of the honorable mentions, the guys that I really, really wanted to put on my top 40 Kings of all time. I just couldn't find a slot for them. And maybe I'll describe a little bit as to why I left them out. But I think it's mostly just important to get these names out there. Honorable mentions from my top 40 list that just missed the cut. Francisco Garcia. I actually did have Francisco on my list, and then I realized I forgot somebody and had to move everybody down one spot. So unfortunately, Francisco Garcia couldn't make my list. I had Darren Collison on my list. He was a King for, I think, longer than people realized. And really just the numbers were undeniable that he should have been one of the top 40 of all time. I just didn't feel like he really deserved to be on the list. Beno Udrih is another one that felt that as well. He obviously was the Kings point guard for the year in which they won. What was it like? I think it was under 20 games, 17 games or something like that. Beno had a great season, and I think a lot of people remember it fondly, but just not really making the cut for top 40 Kings. Marcus Thornton was probably the toughest one to leave off the list. Again, he got some most underrated Kings of all time votes. I think that definitely fits with me not putting him on my list. And this is the only one where I'm going to reveal that I do have somebody on my list. And I will say this is one where, you submit anything like this, a top 40 list, you're immediately going to send it in and then say, oh, I should have done this, or I should have put him higher, should have put him lower. This one's eating at me. The second I submitted my list, I sent it over to Frankie and Brendan just to kind of proofread and make sure I wasn't tripping on anything. And for the most part, they said no, I wasn't tripping on anything. But I will say somebody on my list, or that wasn't on my list, but was on Frankie's list, one Keegan Murray. I didn't have Keegan on my list. And I will say it was a direct 1-for-1. I had to pick one. And I'm really disappointed in my one. I did put Tyrese Halliburton on my list, and I really shouldn't have. Looking back at it, there really isn't. I kind of just wasn't thinking about Keegan. It doesn't, he's year 2 of his career. I wasn't thinking long term. I was just thinking more past than future. But yeah, I mean, looking back at it, there's no reason to not have Keegan Murray on your list if you have Tyrese Halliburton. He's had a better 2 years. Tyrese was here for a year and a half, and Keegan's been here for 2 full seasons, and there's not really many ways to slice it besides Keegan's numbers are just better than Tyrese's. And you could definitely say the impact that Keegan's had, and also the fact that Keegan was in the playoffs and had a great play-in game as well. I would say that definitely puts Keegan, to me, above Tyrese Halliburton in the all-time Kings list. But unfortunately on my list, I did have Tyrese.
I can't believe you had Tyrese.
I didn't want to.
Very
Let me tell you,
surprising.
I didn't want to, but I will say he's close to 40 is what I will say.
You have him. You have him on the list because of what he's done, what he did with the Kings, or just him as a player.
Yes, but again, if I were doing it again, I would take him off and put Keegan on. But I was more looking back and not looking in the more recent seasons. And I was like, there's also a part of it where it's like, okay, this list is not for me, even though this is my personal list. This is a list trying to get the most scientific answer to a question. And I am trying to put my biases aside. And I think I might have put it a little bit too far to the side.
Wow.
So
wow.
Again,
wow,
regrets. I would have had Keegan on my list, but we'll see. Hopefully that didn't impact the list too much. And hopefully Keegan, despite my blunder, can make the list.
Coming up next, Brendan Nunez popped in and told us something that is happening this week with the Sacramento Kings. We'll tell you exactly what that is when we return. Stiles and Watkins, Sacktown Sports.
Did you miss any part of our live local shows? Don't worry, you never have to miss them again. Check out sacktownsports.com and search our podcast page and play our shows when you want. The Carmichael Dave Show with Jason Ross, Stiles and Watkins, and the Drive Guys. Plus, other podcasts like Return of the Empire, Return of the Roar, the Stingers Up podcast, and Golf to Go with Frank LaRosa.
They're all available right now on sacktownsports.com.
It's Capital Casino, Sacramento's #1 poker room. And guess what? Primetime football is back. Capital Casino is giving away $500 per game in high hand bonuses for every Sunday, Monday, and Thursday night primetime game. As always, offering the best food, the best service, and the best action with the most variety of games in the region, conveniently located in downtown Sacramento. So check them out, Capital Casino, and always remember to gamble responsibly. 1-800-GAMBLER.
Sacramento, Dirk Bentley's coming to town.
Getting drunk on a plane.
For his only show in California this year, Saturday, September 28th at Heart Health Park for Country in the Park 2.
What was I thinking?
And he's bringing some friends. Carmelie.
I wanna close your eyes for this.
Tyler Rich. Dasha.
Did your boobs stop working?
And more. Saturday, September 28th at Heart Health Park. Get your tickets today before they're sold out at CITPFest.com.
Brought to you by the California Army National Guard and Red's Pizzeria and Tap House.
Progressive presents Renters MVP's Most Valuable Possessions. Today's MVP, Joe Fallon's bedroom mini fridge. Sure, this pint-sized chiller's max capacity is 3 soda cans, but what it lacks in stature, it makes up in cooling strength. Each beverage a perfect 37 degrees every time. And the 2 feet Joe walks to get a drink, priceless. That's why his mini fridge is today's MVP. Keep your most valuable possessions protected by bundling your renters and auto insurance with Progressive. Progressive Casualty Insurance Company affiliates and other insurers not available in all states.
O'Reilly.
Need a little help? O'Reilly Auto Parts can help. Need advice? We've got advice. No matter what you need, we have thousands of professional parts people doing their part to make sure you have it. Exceptional customer service. Just one part that makes O'Reilly stand apart. The professional parts people.
O'Reilly Auto Parts.
We just want to have enough money for retirement.
And travel to visit our grandchildren.
I understand. That's why at Fisher Investments, we start by getting to know each other so I can learn about your family, lifestyle, goals, and needs, allowing us to tailor your portfolio.
What about commission-based products?
We don't sell those. We're a fiduciary, obligated to act in your best interest.
So how do your management fees work?
We have a simple management fee based on the value of your portfolio. So we do better when you do better.
We appreciate that kind of transparency.
We also check in with you regularly to keep you up to date on the markets and your portfolio.
Well, what other services do you offer?
As a client, you have access to resources on investing, financial planning, estate planning, Social Security, Medicare, and more.
Wow, sounds like Fisher Investments has everything we need.
At Fisher Investments, we're clearly different. Learn more at FisherInvestments.com.
Investing in securities involves the risk of loss.
Mom, meet Sarah.
From first time Nana moments.
And welcome to Flight 101.
To annual girls trip moments. Your can't miss moments are worth protecting against RSV. If you're 75 or older or 60 plus with a chronic condition like asthma, COPD, heart disease, or severe diabetes, you're at higher risk of landing in the hospital from RSV. And there are no prescription RSV treatments. Check eligibility and schedule your RSV vaccine at vaxassist.com.
So where should we go next?
Sponsored by Pfizer.
Why choose a Sleep Number smart bed?
Can I make my side softer?
Can I make my side firmer whenever I want?
Can we sleep cooler?
Sleep Number does that. Cools up to 8 times faster and lets you choose your ideal comfort on either side. 94% of Sleep Number smart sleepers report better sleep. And now, during our biggest sale of the year, save 50% on the Sleep Number limited edition smart bed. Plus free home delivery on select smart beds when you add any base. Ends Labor Day. To find a store near you, visit sleepnumber.com.
Hi, this is Frank LaRosa.
And this is Scott Marsh.
Join us weekly for Golf to Go right here on Sacktown Sports. We talk to all the local golf experts in the area and give you the latest on all the courses as well.
And not to mention all the golf legends and celebrities, along with all the latest in equipment and tournaments too.
Most importantly, we'll just have some fun talking about a game that's fun to play.
You know it's my favorite hour of the week, Frank.
Golf to Go, Thursdays at 6 p.m. and Saturdays at 8 a.m. right here on Sacktown Sports. Give us a listen. I think you'll enjoy it.
Live and local, 6 a.m. to 6 p.m., Monday through Friday. Sacktown Sports.
So Brendan stopped by and he told us that some of the sound that we're going to play a little bit later from Domantas Sabonis, there was more to it than what came out. Sabonis talked about Malik Monk and how he was a bit surprised that Malik Monk, go get your bag. That's what everyone was telling Malik to do. And he said, "Oh, just get the bag here in Sacramento is just fine." But what Brendan also said was that they are having a player-only workout sometime this week, Chris.
Yeah, that is what he said. We'll see how it goes, but I mean, good to see the guys out there during summer still getting the work in and trying to get it's extra work. So love to hear something like that.
Yeah, so this would be, I guess, the second workout now, because you had DeMar DeRozan and Domantas Sabonis and Kevin Huerter popped in as well. That was down at USC and SoCal. So now you're going to have the full team working out together, I believe, in San Diego. So yeah, really great stuff there. And we were trying to figure out who probably arranged all of this, and it is most likely De'Aaron Fox, but obviously we don't know for sure, but either way, Chris, it does feel like this is a team getting back to the tiers and, are they going to be a 6 seed or whatever? I feel like last season we talked about it being the cocoon season for Keegan Murray. I think that this team is going to surprise a lot of people this season. I really do. And I know I got purple lenses on, or periwinkle based on the color of my shirt, but I really think that, number one, you add someone who's just better than Harrison Barnes in one DeMar DeRozan. And number two, I just can't see the West being as much of a gauntlet as it was last season. I mean, the only team that is being added that maybe can make this tougher is the Grizzlies coming back into the fold. But I just think that between the Nuggets and the Mavs not being high on either of those teams and adding DeMar DeRozan, I just think that this team is going to surprise people.
Yeah, I mean, they definitely should. I mean, they got 3 of the most talented players in the league, 3 top 50 players undoubtedly, and we'll see how it all comes together. I think a lot has been, I think a good bit has been overblown about the West in just how like unstoppable it is. I mean, there's definitely a lot of really, really good teams, but I think it's the depth that really makes it so difficult. And we'll see who ends up, climbing to the top. ESPN, like we just said, thinks that Houston and Memphis are going to be the 2 teams that rise, but maybe it'll be a San Antonio. Maybe the Lakers won't be as bad as what ESPN thinks. And maybe the Clippers too. I mean, maybe Kawhi plays a ton of games. Maybe James Harden. We've seen Harden, who had a shirt the other day that said, "I am the system," or just said the system, maybe with him kind of having more of an ownership role of that team, maybe the Clippers are a bit of a surprise. I think that the Kings definitely are in a great position to be, but there's still a lot of work that needs to be done. I mean, they need to actually put it together. They need to stay healthy as well. But they are definitely, I think, in prime position to be anywhere from a 4 seed to, it wouldn't surprise me if they somehow end up as an 8 seed if injuries don't go their way, or if, the season in general is just tougher than we think it is. There's a lot of ways for it to pan out, but I definitely am more leaning towards the 4 to 6 than the 7 through 10. In my opinion, I do think that this Kings team is a good team and one of the better teams. And I am almost at the point, and I'm sure once we get to the season, I'll get to the point where I'm more confident that they will be a good team than a bad team. But I definitely am, at the very least right now, very confident that a 6 seed to me, that is the not the floor, but that is the expectation for me at the least. And you can either exceed it or you can barely not reach it. But I don't see really many scenarios where the Kings just wholly miss out on the play in. And we're talking about just what a kerfuffle this entire season was, even though I don't know if we'll use that word.
Yeah, well, we should. It's a great word.
It's not bad.
When I look at this Kings team and the last season and what the Kings just went through, it might seem crazy to say now, but if you didn't think that the Kings were going to win the whole thing, I almost prefer how the season ended, because it just left a lot to be desired. I think from the Kings' perspective, you know, we talk so much about when JaVale was on these airwaves and really just the growth that they had to go through.
Right.
I think that if you weren't going to win it anyway, just miss the playoffs, get a bad taste in your mouth. So there's no facade, right? Of, oh, well, we can, and I feel like, the Lakers have a facade of, oh, well, that one year we got into play and then we went to the Western Conference Final. There's none of that, right?
100%.
We cannot, okay, you talk about flipping a switch, we cannot mess around.
Right.
We need to bring our lunch pail every single day if we want to, and not mess around if we want to be just in the playoffs, right? And I think that they needed last season to get to where I believe they're going to go. And you're not going to see as many, the blown leads and losing to teams you have no business. It all came back. We sat here. This could burn them, when you're looking at these standings. And what happened? It did.
Yeah,
it literally did.
Yeah.
So I think that now they understand, okay, we cannot lose games that we have no business losing. We cannot we can't do any of this stuff.
Right.
We go out. The Harrison Barnes experience is over. We went and got a player who is just straight up better, right? Fit be danged, okay? We got a player that's better than one Harrison Barnes. We're also at some point going to get Devin Carter. One thing that they did find that they didn't have going into last season is Keon Ellis, right? Now we know that, hey, you have a dude that can lock up some of the best point guards in the league, and he can shoot the three ball. So I just think that some of the things that came out, you're going to have you're going to have a much more, not to say he wasn't focused, right, but Kevin Huerter is going to play better.
Yeah.
So if you weren't going to win it all last season, I'm not really, and we can say this now that the season is over, but I'm not really bothered by the fact that they didn't make it, because now at least I feel like they're going to come back even more focused, because you learned what you are not good enough to mail in certain days. You can't do that. You can't do it.
No, yeah. I mean, I think it's definitely a bit of a galaxy brain take, but I think it's the right one. Like, I do think that in a way, like the Kings losing last year, it does keep them very hungry. There is no, okay, well, maybe this team is just maxed out. No, everybody in that locker room believes we didn't reach our potential last year. And so, we're going to play audio a little bit later. Sabonis at the camp the other day was like, I was a bit surprised that Malik stayed. And I think you can maybe argue, maybe Malik doesn't stay in a weird way. Maybe if the Kings make the first round and get eliminated and Malik doesn't play in that first round, maybe he says, like 2 first-round exits, like maybe we've just hit our heads on the ceiling and this is what the Kings are, and maybe I should go try and find somewhere else and not get trapped here. Maybe in a weird, twisted way, the Kings not making the playoffs and kind of flaming out at the end of the year has Malik saying, well, I was definitely leaning towards leaving or at least looking at my options, but it just feels like there's so much that we didn't accomplish here that we easily could. Unfinished business 100%. And again, maybe in a weird way, it was good for the Kings because there is no illusion of it was good enough, but no, let Harrison Barnes walk and finally get that and just figure out, okay, we are trying to move on, move forward, and we're not going to be okay with just being okay, frankly. I think in a weird way, you can say that them losing last year made everybody go back to the table and say, okay, what are we doing? What exactly are we doing here? Because we can't have another season like we had before. We cannot be stale. We cannot definitely not take a step backwards. We have to make sure that we're always moving forward. How do we get closer to at least getting in the right direction? And it does feel like, at the very least, results, we'll see what happens, but it does feel like process-wise, the Kings are going in the right direction, whereas it might have not been if they, just kind of had another, not a failure, but definitely wasn't a success year. Last year was, I think, you're definitely, again, I don't know if I would call last season a complete failure, but it was definitely more towards the failure side than an overall success.
Coming up next, Barry Bonds has changed his tune on the Hall of Fame. But do you believe him? Stiles and Watkins, Sacktown Sports.
Welcome to the Tap House Restaurant at Bartley Cavanaugh Golf Course. With an array of local craft brews from a selection of 20 taps, the Tap House menu boasts freshly made sandwiches, crisp salads, and a variety of specialty entrees. The Tap House is the perfect place for a round after your round at Bartley Cavanaugh Golf Course, especially during happy hour from 3 to 6 daily. Drop by the Tap House Restaurant for scenic views, exquisite food, and a hearty welcome. The Tap House at Bartley Cavanaugh Golf Course.
Hey everybody, it's your boy Drapes, Kyle Draper, and I want to tell you about my friends at Mercedes-Benz of Stockton. They have a friendly staff, a trustworthy service department, and of course, a huge selection of vehicles. And from now till September 3rd, they're looking to make your dreams come true. That's right, Mercedes-Benz of Stockton Dream Days event is going on right now. So go check out their special offers on the 2024 C-Class sedan or a 2024 GLE SUV. It's just a short drive right off the 5 or anytime at mbfstockton.com.
The feet have a really big impact on how the rest of the body moves. The knees, the hips, the lower back especially. If the foot isn't properly aligned, all of these joints are going to function incorrectly. That results in a lot of muscle tension and chronic pain. What I really like about the Good Feet system is that the right arch supports can put the foot in its proper alignment. So all the joints up the rest of the body will be aligned properly as well. And when the body's aligned, we can reduce the risk of injury and chronic pain.
Come to the Good Feet store now for a free fitting and test walk.
Labor Day, our annual celebration of workers and their achievements, was first observed in New York. and the first Monday in September became a national holiday in 1894. Hi, this is Frank LaRosa with a word about Naturewood Home Furnishings. Each year we commemorate Labor Day with parades, picnics, and family gatherings. And right now, Naturewood Home Furnishings is celebrating with their exceptional whole store Labor Day sale. Would you like to refresh your living room? Would you like to restyle your bedroom? Maybe you want to redesign your home office. No matter whether it's your dining room, kids' rooms, accents, or accessories, Naturewood's unique store-wide Labor Day sale offers savings in every department and savings on every brand like Stanton, Omnia, England, Stickley, Flex Steel, and all the rest of the award-winning furniture. When it comes right down to it, it's all about choices and always about quality. Visit Naturewood Home Furnishings right now for this remarkable Labor Day sale. Off Highway 50 at Hazel, look for the water wheel.
Celebrate Sacramento Rivercats baseball during our 25th anniversary season. Pick your favorite weekly promotion, giveaway game, or theme night, and join the fun at Sutter Health Park. Stick around post-game every Friday and Saturday night as we light up the sky with the brightest fireworks in town. For a full promotion schedule and to buy tickets, visit rivercats.com. We'll see you there.
It's been said an ounce of prevention is worth a pound of cure. And when it comes to a nice, cool summer, it's so true. Right now, get a complete air conditioner tune-up for just $59. Bonnie, plumbing, sewer, electrical, heating, and air. Bonnie.com. Some restrictions apply. License 696355.
Your flagship station for the Bean Team, Sacktown Sports.
15 minutes. We will give away Tom Segura tickets. And now, if you're on the app, you should definitely make your way over to the AM. Make sure you don't get hit by that little delay. YouTube as well. 916-339-1140. Opening up the phone lines, but in 15 minutes, that will be the number to win those tickets. So, Chris, speaking of winning, Barry Bonds has now changed his tune as far as the Hall of Fame is concerned. What's going on here?
Yeah, I read this yesterday in NBC Sports California, had a great piece here about Barry Bonds, who did get enshrined into the Pirates Hall of Fame. Great for Barry. On Saturday over at PNC Park, him and Jim Leland both get put into the Pirates Hall of Fame. And over that time, they asked him, reporters that had asked him how he feels about his standing with the actual Baseball Hall of Fame. Bonds obviously is no longer eligible for the Hall of Fame after not being voted in after 10 years in a row. The threshold was from 2013 through 2022. So I don't believe Barry has any chance. I'm not sure if maybe the commission would be willing to make special exceptions for extraordinary players or anything like that. But as it currently stands, Barry Bonds will not be a Baseball Hall of Famer. He said, quote, I don't have to worry about those things no more in my life, Bonds said. I want to hang around with my grandchildren and my children. Those hopes of making the Hall of Fame, I don't have them anymore. I hope to breathe tomorrow and see if I can make it to 61. So definitely a little bit of a change in tone, especially after just last year, literally last calendar year. I remember Whitey and I talking about this. Barry Bonds on the Hollywood Swingin' podcast with Stephen Bishop and Gary Harrison Jr., he said, yeah, does it bother you? I'm sure. I'm human. I'm not some wall sitting up there who doesn't care, Bond said. Sure, it bothers you, but at the same time, I also know who I am. And the thing is that people have to understand, I was vindicated. I went to court. I was in federal court, and I won my case 100%. Where's the vindication of me and my own sport? That's what bothers me. Whether they were broken or not broken, there were rules, some rules, my era, whether they were broken or not broken, there were rules, some rules. My era, there was no rules. Why is the Hall of Fame punishing me? It doesn't make sense. Bond said that again in 2023, last July, and apparently is having a complete change of heart and is more so just taking the high road a little bit there by saying, all I care about is my grandkids, and I just hope to see the light of day tomorrow. That's the only thing that concerns me. Alan Stiles, I'm sure Barry Bonds was very influential in your life, especially growing up. Do you believe Barry Bonds? Let me ask that without laughing. I'm sorry. Do you believe Barry Bonds when he says he does not care about making the Hall of Fame?
Well, I mean, it's over now. I think you see something. I saw this last week where if somebody signed Barry, if the Giants signed Barry, it could restart his cycle. Yes. So someone said someone needs to sign Barry to restart the cycle.
He would have to play one inning of baseball for it to count.
Right.
Exactly. What was his name? Rafael Palmeiro tried to do that at like 48 years old. He tried to do a comeback because he's in the same
predicament.
Yeah, he's in the same situation as Barry. I think the Veterans Committee can elect him to the Hall of Fame, but he has to wait. I think it's either 10 or 15 years after his last shot at the ballot. So in 10 years, he might get another chance.
I was going to say,
2032.
Are we headed towards maybe things looking a little bit different after he's gone?
That I was literally, can I just say, this was going to be my entire argument. When I was thinking about this, baseball writers, they can have their stance and everything like that. But if Barry Bonds were to knock on every piece of wood, if just as a hypothetical here, if Barry Bonds were to pass tomorrow or next week or whatever, it's going to be ridiculous that Barry Bonds isn't in the Hall of Fame. And I was especially thinking of this because Kobe Bryant, again, like Mamba Day was yesterday or whatever it was, or a couple days ago. And obviously there's a lot of remembering Kobe and things like that. And obviously Kobe passes almost immediately after his playing career is done. Yeah. It's just play stupid games, win stupid prizes. It's like, okay, like you're holding off Barry because you have personal feelings or whatever on the situation in total. It might not even be personal. It might just be your ethics on the situation. But at the end of the day, it's kind of like, not to put myself on a pedestal, but it's like me putting Tyrese Halliburton on the list. It's like, look, do we really want to have this list or this collection of Hall of Famers and not include the guy that hit the most home runs and was great even before the steroid allegations were even out there? Like, I just think that it's a bit of short-sighted vendetta for something that could in the long term look really, really bad, not just on the Hall of Fame, not just on the writers, but just on the sport in general. How can you, and it's the classic question. And, I hate to, this feels almost like an MJ versus LeBron debate, but it's like, how can you legitimately have a baseball Hall of Fame and not have some of the best baseball players at all recognized?
Yeah, and I think what's weird, if I'm not mistaken, and Kyle, you can correct me if I'm wrong on this, but I'm pretty sure some of Barry's equipment
they'll send equipment. Yeah, they
is in the Hall of Fame already.
Yeah,
like
they'll
his
send
helmet
or things. So I wonder if is there anything from 756 that's there? Is the ball there? Is the bat there? Is the jersey there?
That's what's so weird to me, because it's either you don't want him or you do. Yeah. And okay, so hey, imagine trying to explain this to your kid. You go to the Hall of Fame.
That's what the Hall of Fame is for, right? Yeah. Is to explain the history of the sport.
Right, and your kid says, "Hey, Dad, whose stuff is this?" And you say, "Oh, it's Barry Bonds."
Yeah, it's like,
cool. Is he in the Hall of Fame?
Stuff? Yeah. Can we go see his wing? No, we can't.
No, but his stuff is here.
Yeah,
that makes no sense. It makes absolutely no sense.
Exactly. I mean, I don't think the answer is keeping it all. You could definitely say, well, keep it all out or get it all in. And I don't think that's necessarily the best answer, but it is a slippery slope of like, if you're going to have the bats and the balls and the jerseys and all these things, and you're going to have the plaques and the acknowledgement, but he's not going to be there. It's just, I don't know. I mean, I know it's a much larger conversation, but something about it just doesn't feel right.
At this point, 15 years later, the meaning is completely lost too. Like keeping the steroid people out in 2009 was because you still had like Balco and you had everything that was happening. The meaning behind it is completely gone. They're just doing it because that's what they used to do. People started coming around on the steroids people years ago. Yeah. They elected some of them into the Hall of Fame, David Ortiz.
Right.
Like they the meaning behind everything has been lost at this point. They're just doing it because baseball writers in 2010 were angry at Barry Bonds and Roger Clemens and all those guys.
And you could argue that, I mean, obviously, like, you know, you could trace this all the way back to Pete Rose. Like, if Pete Rose is in the Hall of Fame, it makes it a lot harder, I think, to keep Barry out. But, like, once you already had the precedent of, no, we already have the Hall of Fame without an all-time great because of something that he did off the field, you can justify, okay, well, the greatest of all time, it's fine because we already have somebody who was the greatest of all time in their field, and he's not in here either. So it became a slippery slope, and I just think that there's just no way that you can. I mean, obviously, you can't tell the story of the 2000s without telling the story of Barry Bonds. And yeah, I mean, it's just crazy. But you know, if he's happy with it, good on him, because he's a better man than I then, because I would every single day just be screaming at the rooftops, pretty much what Kyle said. Like, what are we talking about? The hypocrisy of this is insane.
Yeah, I'm reading some of these texts here, and someone says from the 916, no, because he cheated. But that's my question. Why is his stuff
So are
there?
the Astros going to be in the Hall of Fame? Are any of is Jose Altuve going to be in the Hall of Fame because he cheated?
100%.
He cheated.
He will.
But he cheated, right? Like, that's by that logic, he cheated.
Carlos Beltran's an interesting case, though, because as a player, he has a chance to get into the Hall of Fame, and he's low-key being punished for the sign-stealing scandal a little bit.
Yeah.
I don't think he'll ever get there, but it is, like, because he's, like, right on the fringe of Hall of Fame.
Right.
Like, Altuve
It's
will
easy
get
to
in
justify.
because,
Right.
yeah, Altuve's a first ballot, no question.
Right.
It's just Beltran's getting a little bit punished for it.
It is pretty crazy, though, if you think about it. I mean, the Astros, I think they've found their way. They're just in a terrible division, and the Mariners are trying to figure out every
How
season.
to lose, just how to
But,
lose. That's
I mean, some of these guys, when you look at Bregman, and you know, I do my daily fantasy. I mean,
What are we
he's kind
talking
of
about?
stunk.
What are we talking about?
He's kind of stunk since this whole thing went down.
That's why the Astros machine is so crazy. It's like, oh, Carlos Correa had a bad World Series. We'll just trade him for Jeremy Pena and win the World Series
Right.
the next year.
Right.
Like the machine of the Astros is crazy.
Yeah, somebody else, Chris, on the text line bringing up Pete Rose. I think Pete Rose should be it.
He should.
You know,
He
I
should.
think Pete Rose should
Especially
be
now, like, again, betting is very, very. I mean,
Yeah.
again, I know Pete Rose
He
like, definitely stepped on the line a couple times there, but
He just made a documentary with HBO pleading to get into the Hall of Fame. It's
Yeah.
crazy that he's at the end of his life and he's like begging and pleading to try and get into the Hall of Fame.
and that might be Barry, and it might help to get a coalition, like to get a couple people who it's like we have the four of us, the five, like turn it from an individual cause into a group. Hey, we're really just trying to shine a light on the. I mean, really on the.
It's just wrong.
It's just wrong. I mean, yeah.
It's just.
I don't want to call it injustice, but I
no,
mean, it is,
but I
again,
mean,
I think hypocrisy is the word.
right. I am very, not that we're hoping Barry stays with us for a very long time,
course.
but I'm very interested to see how this thing changes once he is no longer.
Think
with
about
us.
everything we just, and again, Willie Mays is not, in terms of the reputation, is definitely is top tier. But I mean, again, think about everything that was just laid out for Willie Mays. I do think if Barry passes in 20, 30, 40 years or whatever it is, he'd be 100 at that point. But you know, I do think that there's going to be a similar level of love and appreciation, because especially for a guy like me who is to this day a casual, Barry made you not a casual when you were a kid, or at least when I was a kid. And I think there's going to be a big level of respect and admiration when Barry gets his due.
You know what? And I don't think it'll be remembered. But you know, one thing I just randomly thought about as we were talking about the cheating and all this stuff, the Shohei thing. It just, I mean, he wasn't a part of it, but
just get swept
it just
under the rug.
went away.
Just disappeared.
It just went away.
Dude just pled guilty and took his 40 years.
And it just is over. And Shohei, 40 home runs,
Yep,
40 stolen bases.
and that's all everyone cares about now. Yeah.
He's gonna win the Triple Crown
Yeah.
after the season started with the craziest scandal.
Like, literally,
any of us have seen.
will we ever see Shohei
Yeah.
play baseball
It
again?
do-
Was a
is
legitimate
Shohei
question.
a
Will he get
gambling
banned?
degenerate?
Yeah.
and then a couple months
You
later,
brought up a great one. It's just like that went away so quickly
Yeah.
because the guy was like, "Yep, I did it, and I will plead guilty, and we're done."
and nobody asked any questions.
I think it's because it was just kind of cut cut and dry.
Yeah.
From everything I understand, it was just that.
Oh,
cut
but
and dry.
I do miss that the whole
people
tinfoil
flying
hat
off the rails.
is Shohei using this guy to place bet. Those were the days.
Ignorance is bliss, man.
Those were the days. Coming up next, Tom Segura tickets. make the switch over if you want your opportunity to win them. 916-339-1140. And we get into the Kings ending their playoff drought, but not their terrible defense. Stiles and Watkins, Sactown Sports.
On the move? Got somewhere to be?
Take Sacramento Kings basketball with you. The Sactown Sports app will let you stay connected to your passion. Never miss a moment of Sacramento Kings basketball with the Sactown Sports app.
I didn't ask to be thrown in the streets with nowhere to go. I didn't think I'd survive. But I did ask for help, and Covenant House was there for me.
1 in 10 young adults will experience a form of homelessness this year. For these kids who didn't ask to be put in this unthinkable situation, Covenant House is there.
Covenant House helped me break the cycle of homelessness in my family. They gave me the love that I needed.
Over 2,000 young people will sleep safely in a Covenant House bed tonight. When youth who are experiencing homelessness have a hot meal, a safe place to sleep, medical care, and love, they can overcome heartbreaking challenges and have a brighter future.
They just really genuinely just wanted to help me succeed, and I'm succeeding. I'm a speaker, I'm an author. Covenant House really helped me and really helped mold me into the woman I am today.
If you or someone you love is asking for help, go to safeplacetosleep.org today.
It's Capital Casino, Sacramento's #1 poker room. And guess what? Primetime football is back. Capital Casino is giving away $500 per game in high hand bonuses for every Sunday, Monday, and Thursday night primetime game. As always, offering the best food, the best service, and the best action with the most variety of games in the region, conveniently located in downtown Sacramento. So check them out, Capital Casino, and always remember to gamble responsibly. 1-800-GAMBLER.
Sacramento, Dierks Bentley's coming to town.
Getting drunk on a plane.
For his only show in California this year, Saturday, September 28th at Heart Health Park for Country in the Park 2.
What was I thinking?
And he's bringing some friends. Carmelie.
I want to close your eyes for this.
Tyler Rich, Dasha, and more. Saturday, September 28th at Heart Health Park. Get your tickets today before they're sold out at CITPFest.com.
Brought to you by the California Army National Guard and Red's Pizzeria and Tap House.
Right now at Wendy's, you can get a small Frosty for $1. And literally everyone is going. The car behind you, going to get a $1 Frosty. The car ahead of you, already had one, going for a second. The person who cut you off earlier, you guessed it, $1 Frosty. Maybe it's all a sign for you to go get one. Just don't cut anyone off. No one likes that person. The iconic Frosty for $1, gotta be Wendy's.
Limited time only at participating U.S. Wendy's. Not valid in a combo. Prices may be higher in Alaska, Hawaii, California, and via third-party delivery.
Drivers who switch and save with Progressive could save hundreds, which could be life-changing. I mean, you could put that money towards concert tickets for your daughter to see that singer who sings about painful breakups. And one song will inspire your little beauty to break up with that beast she's dating, Brian. Instead, she'll date someone who's nice and worthy of her love, not someone who addresses you and your spouse as bro. And it's all because you could save money switching at Progressive.com. Progressive Casualty Insurance Company and affiliates, not available in all states.
Hi, this is Greg Papa. Disasters hit every day. If your home, business, or building has suffered from any disaster, SunPoint Public Adjusters can help. SunPoint prepares, presents, and negotiates your claim with the insurance company, working only for you, making sure you get everything you're entitled to and letting your focus be on what's most important, your family or your business. Call SunPoint today at 888-247-7865 or contact us at sunpoint.us. SunPoint Public Adjusters, the gold standard in public adjusting.
License number 2N14884.
Only one radio program captures the excitement of hunting and fishing as it happens. The award-winning California Sportsman with Sep Hendrickson. Only California Sportsman takes you where the action is, live on the water, live in the blind, and live with the top pros and experts in outdoor sports. California Sportsman with Fishing Hall of Famer Sep Hendrickson is your premier destination for all things outdoors. Sep's Saturday Morning Outdoors. Ultimate Bass and California Sportsman, 5 a.m. to 8 a.m. Saturdays on Sactown Sports 1140.
At Northern California's #1 Honda dealer, Stockton Honda, we make the dream of owning a new car easy and stress-free.
With prices that you just can't say no to. Save on our best selection of the year during the final days of the Honda Summer Event.
Come in today or go to StocktonHonda.com.
Anytime, anywhere, it's all here. StocktonHonda.com.
#1 claims based on 2023 total new and Honda certified pre-owned vehicle car sales from American Honda Motor Company. Sold on report.
My kids call me Tom. So unnerving. Every day, the older one's like, "How you doing, Tom?" I go, hey, I'm not your fucking stepdad, all right? I wish I was. It'd be a lot easier, but I'm not.
From his multiple Netflix specials, comedian Tom Segura brings his new tour, Come Together, to the venue at Thunder Valley September 5th. Get tickets now. For tickets, visit ThunderValleyResort.com. Don't miss Tom Segura, Come Together.
From the Power Business Technology Toshiba Studios. KHTKAM Sacramento. KYMX HD2 Sacramento. Sacramento's official home for the San Francisco 49ers.
Touchdown! San Francisco!
Sacktown Sports.
Live and local, it's Stiles and Watkins. Watch the show on youtube.com/Sacktown Sports 1140.
Or listen on the Sacktown Sports app.
It is time. Tom Segura, you know him, you love him. The one and only Tom Segura is touching back down in Sacktown next Thursday, and we want to give you a chance to get in the building. Stiles and Watkins company tickets to enjoy the show. All you have to do is hit up the Folsom Lake Honda hotline right now, looking for caller number.
It's on me.
It's on you.
Give me 4.
Caller number 4.
Oh.
Caller number 4, 916-339-1140 to score that pair of tickets. Check out Tom Segura at Thunder Valley Casino Resort on September 5th, courtesy of Thunder Valley Casino Resort. For more information, visit SacktownSports.com, 916-339-1140, 916-339-1140, 916-339-1140. Caller number 4, they are flying in now.
Dang.
For your chance to win tickets. All right, Chris, from Matt Issa of Arroyo Payne.
Yeah.
Talk about Arroyo Payne. There's been some pains with the Kings defense for a very long time.
Yeah, this is terrible. Shout out Matt, who's writing over at Arroyo Payne. Really good stuff here, and put me on something that I was very unaware of leading into reading this article, in which he says the Sacramento Kings drought that nobody is talking about. And what is that drought? As we know, of course, the Kings did snap the 16. What is it? I still, is it 16 years, 17 season? I can't remember what it is. Whatever. They ended the playoff drought here a couple of years ago. And, everybody thinks, okay, the monkey's off your back. You've now figured it out. But Matt points out here that there is a different hurdle that the Kings have yet to climb over since their glory days. During that 2002-2000 season, the Sacramento Kings finished with the league's second best defense, according to defensive rating. That was the last time the Kings have been in the top 10 in defensive rating, is 2002-2003. They've gone 21 years without sporting a top 10 defense. In fact, Matt writes here, before finishing 14th in defensive rating this past season, the Kings had went 20 seasons without a top 20 defense in the NBA, which is absolutely insane. Matt writes in here that none of the other 29 teams have ever gone more than a decade without fielding a top 10 defense. The current longest drought is the Washington Wizards at 9 seasons, which is since the 2014-15 season when they finished 5th without fielding a top 10 defense. The Kings drought is 12 years longer than that current Wizards drought. So though we do think that the Kings have turned a new leaf and are now, they're perennial playoff picture teams and things like that. Well, they still have one more thing that they have not done, and that is a top 10 defense. And Alan, I mean, the natural question is, will they do it this season? Last year, let's not forget, the Kings finished 9th in defensive rating to end the season post All-Star break. You mentioned it earlier. Keon Ellis was a very, very big part of that defensive shift. Let's not also forget that Kevin Huerter and Malik Monk were both out for the end of the season, and that probably helped out the defense a good bit. But do we see the Kings ending the drought of 20-plus years without a top 10 defense?
Before I answer this,
okay,
and I'm just doing this live here, so I wanna look up the top 10 defenses from last season.
Okay,
but my initial thought is no. My initial thought is that they will not be a top 10 defense. That doesn't mean that they won't be much better defensively.
Yeah,
because I do think that they will be, but I just top 10 is tough, man.
Yeah, I'm seeing here. So in terms of defensive rating, which is points per 100 possessions, the Kings were at 114.4, which again put them at 14th. They were also very close. Let's see here. The 19th ranked team, the Milwaukee Bucks, were 115.0. So they were very, very close in terms of the margins from being 14th to 19th. However, you could also say close to the same thing, I guess, in terms of being top 10. The Houston Rockets were at 112.8 points per 100 possessions. That's about 2 points per possession, per 100 possessions less than what the Kings were at there. So if you're following the numbers, they say that the Kings are a lot closer to a top 20 defense, being close to the 20, than a top 10 defense, even though they were 14th. So that you know, if that's going to guide your path, guide your way to coming to an answer, I would definitely say I don't think so. I think they can get closer. I think that their top is maybe a top 12 defense. I kind of feel like last year is as good of a defensive performance as you're going to get. Maybe if the offense is a little bit better, maybe it'll help. But we've also seen that in the past, the Kings having a good offense can also lead to a really bad defense because they're just trying to run a track meet and you know, are allowing teams, even though the Kings are scoring 130, their opposing team is scoring 120, which doesn't help your defensive rating much at all. So I don't know. I mean, I don't think that they've improved that much on the defensive end. Maybe after this season, when you add Devin Carter to the rotation, Keon is then a part of the rotation. Maybe you can add more of your Dorian Finney-Smith type players or someone like that. Maybe they can get to that point. But if we're talking this season, I just don't think that that was the priority of this offseason in terms of the acquisitions that they brought in.
Yeah. And I mean, let's not act like there are a ton of, you know, elite two-way players just growing on trees here, right? They made a decision in getting DeMar DeRozan. And, you know, one thing that I even talked about last week, Chris, is as we open up the phone lines is just, well, we can say that the fit with DeRozan might not be perfect or whatever the case is, but who was the, I guess, of the perfect available player for the Kings this season? Because I don't think Brandon Ingram is a perfect fit. I guess we've had the conversation about Kyle Kuzma. A lot of people don't even think Kyle Kuzma's a perfect fit. So you decide to go with DeMar DeRozan, and defensively, he isn't what a Kyle Kuzma is or some of these guys. But at the same time, you know, sometimes the best offense or the best defense is a good offense, and they're going to be better offensively because DeMar DeRozan is better offensively than Harrison Barnes. So, I don't think they need to be a top 10 offense to get where they want to go. I mean, it would be nice, but I think that they're going to be right on the cusp. But again, thinking about some of the other teams that are in the league, it's hard for me to say, they're going to be better than 10 of these teams defensively. I mean, but, you know, and I know the Mavericks kind of become the model, you know, after the trade.
18th in defensive rating.
There you go.
And you know, it might be, it depends. It just depends what your goal is. I mean, you know, if you want to win a title, it's going to probably be a little bit tough to win the actual NBA title without being a defensive team. But you could probably make the NBA finals by just being a offensive juggernaut like the Dallas Mavericks did. Mavericks were great the second half of the season when it came to defense. But I mean, their total season average put them at 18th in the league. And I think as long as you can be I would say top 15 is probably where you can shoot. But again, the margin from 14 to where Dallas was at 19 is 0.5 points per 100 possessions. So the Kings pretty much were already, to your point, good enough defensively to make it there. If their offense can reach another level, I think that's how you can get, exactly like you said, you can get to where you want to go without actually having to be a top 10 defense. I will say, I mean, let's just go through the top 10 defensive teams. I kind of think all of these teams you would describe as defensive minded, which again is probably going to work against the Kings in terms of them being a top 10 defense. Timberwolves, they got Rudy Gobert, they've got Anthony Edwards. They were the number one defense in the NBA, definitely a defensive-minded team. The Celtics, even though people think of their offense, their defense was second in the NBA. Orlando, we know that they have the length, the size. They play a little bit slower. They were third. OKC, Lou Dortz of the world, the Chet Holmgren, Shea, second in the NBA in steals. They were fourth. Miami, definitely that grit and grind personality. Maybe the Pelicans surprises you a little bit. I think they're more offensive leaning in their players. So maybe that's the sign that the Kings maybe want to take is, hey, the Pelicans aren't necessarily a defensive focused team. They have Valanciunas, they have Brandon Ingram, they run Zion, they got CJ McCollum. I don't know if a lot of those guys would be considered defensive stoppers, but you do have Herb Jones, you have Trey Murphy and guys like that. They then had DeJounte this year. We'll see where that goes. Cleveland, they got the Twin Towers and Mobley and Jared Allen. Nuggets, I think, is, again, a bit of a surprising one, but the Nuggets have also gone year after year with the intent of trying to be good top 10 defense, and they are now number 8. We'll see how that goes with KCP. The Knicks, as we know, they like to play, especially with Tom Thibodeau, a little bit more of a defensive style. They're 9th. Houston Rockets, Ime Udoka just kind of made that into their personality, and their offense was terrible, and so they had to lean into some part of the game in order to win, and they were 10th in defensive rating. After that, in between 10 and where the Kings were, you have Philly, again, Joel Embiid. That's could be a defensive juggernaut. You have the Grizzlies, literally grit and grind, and they didn't even have any of their good players last year, and they still managed to be top 12 in defense. And then the Phoenix Suns, again, I don't know if many people would be saying the Phoenix Suns defensive juggernauts, but they were 13th. So maybe there's a happy medium here where the Kings, they don't have to be one of the best defensive teams in the league, but can they still be a good defense while still putting up a ton of points on the offensive end? I think that's going to be what they look for this year.
Coming up next, Bleacher Report asks one question for every NBA team. What are they asking of your Sacramento Kings? Stiles Watkins, Sacktown Sports.
Kevin Herter plays here.
It's Herter. He's been hot. He fires. He's still hot. Kevin Herter from downtown has a 15-point first quarter.
Sacktown Sports is your proud home of the Sacramento Kings.
I'm Coach Doug Christie, urging you to visit my friends at Folsom Lake Kia for huge Labor Day savings on your next new or certified pre-owned Kia. And tell them DC sent you. FolsomLakeKia.com.
Whether you own a local business or a global one, you know that these days, generating growth is a challenge. By teaming with Bank of America, you'll not just stay ahead of the curve, you'll move it. With access to experts, award-winning insights, and business solutions so powerful, you'll make every move matter, locally and globally. Visit bankofamerica.com/banking for business to learn more. What would you like the power to do? Copyright 2024 Bank of America N.A.
Hi, I'm Rachel, and I have a serious heart condition called hypertrophic cardiomyopathy, or HCM. Some symptoms include being short of breath, feeling tired, or having dizziness or chest pain. I still had symptoms on my beta blocker, so I asked my cardiologist about any treatment advances. It was a breakthrough for me. That's why I'm working with Bristol Myers Squibb to raise awareness about HCM and to help others like me. Talk to your cardiologist today and visit hcmrealtalk.com for more information.
Sponsored by Bristol Myers Squibb.
Your home for Kings basketball for over 25 seasons.
Sacktown Sports.
Congrats, Kyle. Do we have a name for that Tom Segura winner?
Justin.
Congrats to Justin.
Justin
Tom Segura, our fourth caller, 916-339-1140. Getting into this Bleacher Report article, and they ask a question of every NBA team. Chris, what did they have to ask the Sacramento Kings.
We will get there, I promise. I actually think some of these questions are really intriguing, and so we don't have to spend any time on it, but just to get these questions out there, I think Bleacher Report did a good job with some of these. And some of these we've been talking about between the two of us, and so it's just nice to see that we're not creating narratives here. This is actually what's going on in the league, and people are talking about it as well. Starting with the Atlanta Hawks, which first and foremost, this is, again, we've been asking this question for a while now. How much longer will the Trey era last? I think is a great question to ask for the Atlanta Hawks, as it was kind of supposed to end this summer and didn't come to an end there. You have teams like the Brooklyn Nets, of course, Jordi Fernandez. Their question is, who will make plays? Right. So some of them, there's a wide range. And of course, the Bulls question is, can they get anything for one Zach LaVine? So go check out this article on Bleacher Report. I think it's really good. And if you're not a Kings fan and you just want to, look around the league to see what some of the big questions are, like the Golden State Warriors, whose question is, does Jonathan Kuminga finally make the leap? You can go read more about that on Bleacher Report. But let's get to the Sacramento Kings, whose question is a bit of a bigger picture question for sure. Not necessarily, like I said, some of these are, specific to a player. Some of these are specific to a situation or just in general. The Kings one is more of a philosophical question. Will the whole be less than the sum of the parts? Which is essentially saying, look, the Kings definitely got better talent in DeMar DeRozan over one Harrison Barnes. They add Devin Carter at some point here throughout this season. Keon Ellis is a player that wasn't really a part of the equation at this point last year. Keegan Murray hopefully gets a year better. Yeah, all of these individuals we like, but does that necessarily mean, especially in a Kings situation where it just never seems to work out for the Kings, will it actually all come together and be exactly what we here in Sacramento hope it will be? Here's the write-up from Bleacher Report. Thanks to the trade that essentially swapped out Harrison Barnes for DeMar DeRozan, the Sacramento Kings are more talented than they were at this point last year. When they put their top 5 players on the floor, there'll be an abundance of creators and scorers. The twofold question is whether or not all that offensive firepower actually makes any sense together, and whether it'll give back so much on defense that the offensive gains won't even matter. De'Aaron Fox, Malik Monk, DeRozan, and Sabonis are all more valuable with the ball in their hands. Sabonis in particular is ill-suited for duties as a floor spacing bystander because no defense honors his outside shot. Fox has been solid on defense last season, but graded out as a negative in each of the 3 prior seasons. Keegan Murray showed flashes of becoming a stopper, but no one else in Sacramento's potential closing 5 would be confused as a high-end defender. That's an issue for a team that, again, as we just mentioned, hasn't finished better than 18th on defense since 2006, except for last year. Maybe this surplus of scoring will take Sacramento's offense back to the league leading level it reached in the 22-23 season. But even from an offensive standpoint, it's hard to get past the fear that DeRozan's fit is less than ideal. The Kings' best players might overlap too much to maximize their abilities. And again, Bleacher Report writing the question, will the whole be less than the sum of the parts in Sacramento? Alan, you got any thoughts on that?
Yeah. The De'Aaron Fox thing is interesting as far as, so they're saying that last season he graded as a negative or the 3 seasons
I think they're saying,
to.
yes, last season he was solid, but graded out as a negative in each of the 3 prior seasons.
Okay.
Yes.
Okay.
So not last season, but the seasons prior to that, he had been a negative on the defense.
Yeah. And, it's legit what they're talking about as far as the stopping is concerned. I mean, that's why I wasn't completely sold on the idea of, the Kings not getting anybody else and just kind of riding in. I understand that the prices are the prices and, you don't want to pay top dollar for a Cam Johnson right now. So I think that their offense is going to be legit. It's really a matter of, is this going to be another form of the Kings track meet, or are they going to be able to find some legit stoppers? And they have one in Keon Ellis. And I do think that De'Aaron Fox is a bit underrated as a defender. And can Keegan Murray kind of take that next leap as well and be that wing stopper? Because to me, all these teams that they're facing, it's not as if all 5 guys on another team are prolific scorers. So to me, DeMar DeRozan can hide a little bit from game to game, depending on who they're playing. He can hide if Keegan Murray continues to, do what he's been doing defensively. So that is really the big thing. And then when you come up against an elite big in the league and you have Sabonis, it just kind of is what it is. So it really, a lot of this comes down to Keegan Murray and his ability to stop the elite wings in this league.
Sure. Yeah. I mean, I also think that all the questions are definitely there. And I know the point of the exercise is to ask the question and then elaborate on it a bit. But I think it is a bit discounting the things that the Kings are going to do well. Like, yes, okay. Yeah. The Kings might struggle on defense.
Yeah.
So is like 20 teams in the NBA. Like that doesn't necessarily mean that they're going to just automatically be bad. How about the things that the Kings do well that other teams that's their calling card, the Kings do better? Like, I think their offense is just a small example, or situations in the clutch where, they previously had De'Aaron Fox and they were starting to kind of get Malik to a level in the clutch as well. But now they're undeniably a plus in clutch situations. Yeah. How many games are they going to steal from other teams? I mean, we talked so much about last year. Oh, man, this team just came in and stole this game because the attitude or the Kings couldn't close right or shots were falling in the first half and then just went dead silent in the second half. Well, how many times this year are the Kings going to be in close games where, those things can still happen, but because they have De'Aaron, because they have DeMar, and because they have Malik, you're just going to beat them in the clutch situation. And so, I definitely think it's totally natural to have all of the questions or elaborate on the single question being asked there by Bleacher Report, but I just don't think it paints the full picture there. And again, I know that's not really the point of the article, but I would just say maybe more so as an answer or a retort to that question. I just think, that might be true, but it is one question for every single team. Every team has some sort of question heading into this season that can make you have some pause and to have some trepidation about having them make a run. I just think that I'm less concerned. If the Kings' problem essentially is, are they too talented? Do they have too much talent?
Yeah.
I think that's a pretty good problem to have, especially here.
Yeah. What was their question for the Celtics? I'm just curious. Since the Celtics
can they win again? Probably.
Right. Is Jason
let's see
Tatum.
Here. That would be great. I hope it is about Tatum or Brown. Let's see. Boston Celtics question is, what does their center rotation look like? Luke Cornett or Xavier Tillman?
Okay.
So that's what I guess, again, there's levels to your questions, but that's the Celtics question. Let me see what the Lakers question. I read the Warriors question is,
can Bronny start?
Probably. The Lakers question is a trade on the horizon? As is always the question.
So literally nothing to do with the actual Lakers.
No, because they're fine.
Right.
They're actually fine.
Now I'm curious on the flip side. What is it for like the Wizards?
The Washington Wizards question is, why are we doing this? Well, this is an interesting question. The Washington Wizards, who's ready for a Bobcat? Hold on, let's see here.
Like a pet bobcat?
No, if I had to assume, this is like doing a Snell, if I had to guess. And there, let's see here. It's rare to see an NBA team ranked dead last on both ends of the floor, but the Wizards are built to be exceptionally bad. So I guess that's what a Bobcat is. The Bobcats are the gold standard, finishing 30th in both offense and defensive efficiency during a 66-game lockout shortened season in 2011-2012. The 17-18 Phoenix Suns pulled off the same incompetence, double-dipped themselves a few years later. We haven't seen such thorough two-way ineptitude since. So I guess that is what we are referring to when we say, who's ready for a Bobcat? Can the Wizards be last in the NBA in offense and defensive efficiency?
Well, now I'm rooting for that.
Now I know. Yeah, exactly.
Now we need that to happen.
I didn't even know it was a thing.
Well,
I love it.
And I'm got to be careful here, but Kyle Kuzma doesn't seem to mind. I mean, all he's doing is tweeting about the presidential candidates these days. It's a mess out there. Maybe it's because he's in D.C. Who knows? But it's a mess out there.
I'm sure Cooper Flagg will solve all their problems. So.
I'm just very excited we're running it back with Pool Boy and Jacuzzi.
so they get Cooper Flagg, and what? They just think that they'll just compete?
Championships. Step 1, draft Cooper Flagg. Step 2, reap the benefits.
I think my favorite tweet from last NBA season was some guy who's like, the 2023 or the 2024 Wizards with Poole and Kuzma and them were like the anti 73-9 Warriors, like the exact opposite aura of like they're bad, but they do something funny, exciting every game.
This might have been with Simone. No, I think it was with you, Kyle, when we were talking about I think it was Simone. When we were talking about the markets and how it's tough it all started as far as the NBA and the Pelicans and how it was kind of a rough market as far as NOLA is concerned. And I feel like the Wizards are in a similar spot. Like, even when the Wizards were kind of good with John Wall, how much do people in DC care about the Wizards?
Let's see. I mean, what are the other options? You got Nationals, you got Capitals, you got the Commanders. I would say Commanders are probably still one, even when they're bad and the Wizards are good. I would guess it's a Commander heavy town. I think they probably shady care about the Capitals a lot. The hockey team.
Yeah. Well, the Capitals suck now, but
they had the Ovechkin.
I think what they had going against them was that the Wizards were good, but the Capitals were like, I think they won a championship at the same time, and then the Nationals won a championship at the same time.
Right. Yeah, so that's another one.
I guess Nationals, they don't really. I won't say they don't care.
That random championship.
To wake me up when they're good. I mean, they had Strasburg and Bryce, and I think there was a level of hype, but I don't know.
I think they've got some like Fisher type thing going on there, which is like they won a championship and now we're never going to do that again.
Right. I hope you enjoyed your time at the parade. Coming up next, Domantas Sabonis held a basketball camp in Rockland and met with the media after. We'll hear what he had to say. Stiles and Watkins, Sacktown Sports.
Sacramento weather is brought to you by Folsom Lake Kia.
I'm Tamara Berg in the KCRA 3 Weather Center. For your Monday, expect to see plenty of sunshine out there, and temperatures will feel noticeably warmer today. Plan for daytime highs in the low to mid 90s. Get the latest forecast on the KCRA 3 News and the KCRA 3 app.
I'm Coach Doug Christie, urging you to visit my friends at Folsom Lake Kia for huge Labor Day savings on your next new or certified pre-owned Kia. And tell them DC sent you. FolsomLakeKia.com.
Advanced Infusion Center, where we prioritize your comfort and well-being. Whether you're managing a chronic condition or seeking specialized IV therapy, our state-of-the-art center offers tailored solutions to meet your needs. Advanced Infusion Center's dedicated healthcare professionals are here to ensure your safety and provide personalized care. Conveniently located in Sacramento and Yuba City with flexible scheduling options. Experience a new standard in infusion therapy. Visit Advanced Infusion Center today at advancedinfusion.com.
Experience a golf tournament as refined as you are. The Pro Court Championship at Silverado Resort, September 12th through the 15th. Be there as the best of Napa meets the best of the PGA Tour. With world-class wine experiences, breathtaking views, and incredible golf. It's like this weekend was made for you. The Pro Court Championship, September 12th through the 15th. For tickets, go to ProCourtChampionship.com.
Bonneville International Radio Station contests are open to participants at least 18 years of age and older that are residents of California and who reside in one of the 6 counties that make up the Sacramento metro area, unless otherwise specified. Employees or agents of the station, Bonneville International Corporation, other area radio stations, or any entity associated with the contest are not eligible to win, unless the station otherwise specifies in its own discretion. Persons who have won in the last 30 days from a station contest or event may not be eligible. For a copy of the general contest rules, visit KHTK.com. Sponsored by Xfinity Internet. Enjoy ultimate control of your home network. Personalize your Wi-Fi name and password. Assign user profiles. View and control connected devices and more with the Xfinity Internet app.
Celebrate Sacramento Rivercats baseball during our 25th anniversary season and join the fun at Sutter Health Park. For a full promotion schedule and to buy tickets, visit rivercats.com. We'll see you there.
As a mom, I'd do anything to keep my child out of physical pain.
Dr. Pamela Maida is a board-certified orthopedic surgeon.
As a doctor, I know that growth spurts can cause pain in my child's feet, and that can affect their legs and back too.
Good Feet Youth Arch Supports are designed to alleviate, even eliminate common pain.
Investing in youth arch supports for your child or teen is one of the best decisions you can make.
Come to the Good Feet store now for a free fitting and test walk.
Labor Day, our annual celebration of workers and their achievements, was first observed in New York, and the first Monday in September became a national holiday in 1894. Hi, this is Frank LaRosa with a word about Naturewood Home Furnishings. Each year we commemorate Labor Day with parades, picnics, and family gatherings. And right now, Naturewood Home Furnishings is celebrating with their exceptional whole store Labor Day sale. Would you like to refresh your living room? Would you like to restyle your bedroom? Maybe you want to redesign your home office. No matter whether it's your dining room, kids' rooms, accents, or accessories, Naturewood's unique store-wide Labor Day sale offers savings in every department and savings on every brand like Stanton, Omnia, England, Stickley, Flex Steel, and all the rest of the award-winning furniture. When it comes right down to it, it's all about choices and always about quality. Visit Naturewood Home Furnishings right now for this remarkable Labor Day sale. Off Highway 50 at Hazel, look for the water wheel.
Hi, this is Frank LaRosa.
And this is Scott Marsh.
Join us weekly for Golf to Go right here on Sacktown Sports. We talk to all the local golf experts in the area and give you the latest on all the courses as well.
And not to mention all the golf legends and celebrities, along with all the latest in equipment and tournaments too.
Most importantly, we'll just have some fun talking about a game that's fun to play.
You know it's my favorite hour of the week, Frank.
Golf to Go, Thursdays at 6 p.m. and Saturdays at 8 a.m. right here on Sacktown Sports. Give us a listen.
Watch the show on youtube.com/Sacktown Sports 1140.
Or listen on the Sacktown Sports app.
We are getting closer, one day at a time, to the NBA season. The workouts are starting to make their way onto social media. Kings will be working out this week down in San Diego, but Domantas Sabonis held a basketball camp in Rockland over the weekend. And I think Brendan was in the building, right, Chris?
Yes, he was.
Yeah. He was in the building, and he met with Domantas Sabonis, met with media after, and really his first chance to talk about the DeMar DeRozan signing and working out with DeMar DeRozan and Malik Monk. And he was actually surprised that Malik Monk stayed. Here is what Sabonis had to say about it.
I was actually very surprised. I was talking to him a lot during the year, and I thought we really lost him, but I'm happy he stayed. I think it's the best decision for him, and for us. I just think he didn't want to leave me, so that's the main thing. But I'm happy, he's here. He's one of the most important players on our team, and having him on and off the court with us has helped us a lot these last 2 years.
I don't even know if it's funny, we talk every single day for 4 hours, and I'm not even sure if we just straight up asked each other, were you surprised? Just when he was talking, just made me think, did we ever actually just talk about whether or not you were surprised that Malik Monk stayed?
I think we definitely did. If I'm remembering correctly. I mean, yeah, definitely. I think every direction. I mean, we were talking about, like you said, we were talking about it every day. I mean, there was a ton of breadcrumbs that were leading you to believe that Malik was at the least going to try free agency. And crazy enough, we never even got to the point where we knew any substantial offers or anything like that, because Malik signed before we can even really get to the speculative part of the offseason. But yeah, I mean, it was definitely surprising that he re-signed, but he resigned before anybody could even start to think of the possibilities of him leaving. So, I think Sabonis isn't by himself in being surprised by it, but hearing somebody internally say it, especially to the level of Domantas Sabonis, we're not talking about Davion Mitchell or something, or Sasha coming out and being like, yeah, honestly, I didn't surprise. We're talking about Domantas Sabonis, who is working the pick and roll with Malik, is obviously like one of the best players on the team, and is probably very privy to how those negotiations are going. It's definitely adds to the impressiveness, I guess, of how quickly they got it done. That even Sabonis, who is a focal figure on the team, didn't see that coming. He had the impression that that was probably the last game that I played with Malik. And the fact that it swapped so quickly, I think is probably a really good sign that Monty and Wes and all of those in the front office, they really did have a full court press on Malik, so much so that I mean, I think it literally flipped him. I don't think that it was we didn't really ask Malik situation. I think a lot of people thought just assumed maybe that the direction was going a certain way, and the negotiations went so well and things like that it completely flipped.
And then we had, what was that? It was a card signing gate.
That was Nate. That was just, honestly, I mean, if you ask Nate, it was you.
Nate doesn't want you to talk about that anymore.
Oh my goodness.
Yeah, Nate didn't want to talk about it when we talked about it. So,
I was very surprised when Malik Monk, when the news happened. First of all, you got to make sure it's the real Woj.
Yes.
Right. And the real Shams.
Not Woj or something.
Right. And for Malik Monk to decide to stay in Sacramento, I mean, if there was a checklist for the Kings off season, I'm not really sure what else could get checked. I mean, the one thing you maybe can bring up, and we know this is a unique situation, is that the backup center, depending on how high you may or may not be on one Alex Len. But besides that, and just having a more defensive presence, really it's just Robert Williams.
Defender.
Yeah, wing defender. But at the price points that we know these guys are at right now, it just kind of is what it is. I mean, it's been a pretty darn good summer for the Sacramento Kings.
It's been great. I mean, yeah, you have not only Malik, but you have, obviously DeMar sign here as well. And we can't forget Mike Brown too. I mean, that could really be something that unravels everything. It doesn't really matter how you feel about Mike Brown and his coaching style. I think the instability that it could have led to really could have crumbled this whole thing. I mean, if it all starts with Mike, with this entire offseason starts with the Kings negotiating, let's not forget, very publicly with Mike Brown through the media, and it leads to no signing, not necessarily he's fired, but just no extension. Who knows if the Malik extension goes that smoothly? Oh, no. Again, especially if Malik actually flipped his thinking, maybe there was some of it that is, hey, no, like this situation isn't changing. If you stay here, Mike Brown is going to be the coach. This will not be a situation where you sign here for 3 years, but Mike leaves after 1, and then you get a new coach, and that new coach, Malik, he doesn't like the fact that you're so free, and he doesn't like the way that you talk to coaches and things like that. So I think maybe that had a big role on it all. And, the fact that they, I would say a loss is obviously the Davion Mitchell-Sasha trade. But even then, we have to see, there's a lot of assumption about Jalen McDaniels, and I definitely am someone who still is assuming that Jalen McDaniels isn't going to be much of a factor, but who knows? That could end up being a win too. As I say, the Kings didn't add a wing defender. If Jalen McDaniels is just not the worst player in the NBA, like apparently he was last year, which maybe he just is and he can't get off that. But if he can be productive for this team, I don't really see where the loss is besides not extending De'Aaron. And that's, again, something that's pretty much out of your hands. That was a De'Aaron decision. I think it's been a great offseason for the Kings. And again, it does lead to us questioning why nobody else seems to see it that way. It is really interesting that there hasn't been a lot of, hey, here are my 5 winners of the offseason. You really don't see the Kings included because a lot of people are stuck on the DeMar fit and the 2031 unprotected first.
Well, yeah. And the whole thing was everybody thought that Malik was gone, including people outside of Sacramento. Yes. Yeah. But then when Malik stayed, it just wasn't a big deal anymore.
Nope. Yep. Exactly.
But there was a whole sweepstakes. And I guess that's just Sacramento. Sure. That's just part of the deal, right, with the Kings. But yeah, quite the offseason for the Sacramento Kings, assuming that they're done now. But, maybe they got one more trick up their sleeve. Coming up next, the Lakers have their eye on Chris's boy, and this is ridiculous, but we're going to talk about it. Stiles and Watkins, Sacktown Sports.
Hey, this is Greg Papa. Are you working through a major insurance claim? SunPoint Public Adjusters can help. SunPoint prepares, presents, and negotiates your claim with the insurance company, working only for you, making sure you get everything you're entitled to, not what just some adjuster working for an insurance company thinks you should get. Call SunPoint today at 888-247-7865 or contact us at sunpoint.us. SunPoint Public Adjusters, the gold standard in public adjusting.
License number 2N14884.
It's Capital Casino, Sacramento's #1 poker room. And guess what? Primetime football is back. Capital Casino is giving away $500 per game in high hand bonuses for every Sunday, Monday, and Thursday night primetime game. As always, offering the best food, the best service, and the best action with the most variety of games in the region, conveniently located in downtown Sacramento. So check them out, Capital Casino, and always remember to gamble responsibly. 1-800-GAMBLER.
Drivers who switch and save with Progressive could save hundreds, which could be life-changing. I mean, you could put that money towards concert tickets for your daughter to see that singer who sings about painful breakups. And one song will inspire your little beauty to break up with that beast she's dating, Brian. Instead, she'll date someone who's nice and worthy of her love, not someone who addresses you and your spouse as bro. And it's all because you could save money switching at Progressive.com. Progressive Casualty Insurance Company and affiliates, not available in all states.
Right now at Wendy's, you can get a small Frosty for $1. And literally everyone is going. The car behind you, going to get a $1 Frosty. The car ahead of you, already had one, going for a second. The person who cut you off earlier, you guessed it, $1 Frosty. Maybe it's all a sign for you to go get one. Just don't cut anyone off. No one likes that person. The iconic Frosty for $1, gotta be Wendy's.
Limited time only at participating U.S. Wendy's. Not valid in a combo. Prices may be higher in Alaska, Hawaii, California, and via third-party delivery.
This is your captain. We are going to be experiencing some slight turbulence. Please fasten your... Oh, hold on. Just got a video of my cat.
Imagine the pilot of an airplane was as confident as you are texting and driving. Seems kind of crazy when you put it like that.
Visit StopTextStopWrecks.org. A message brought to you by the National Highway Traffic Safety Administration, Project Yellow Light, and the Ad Council.
Total Wireless has made the totally keep up with you. We now have unlimited data that never slows you down. Covered by the Verizon 5G network. And for less than $30 a month, we make your phone your ride or die. Switch now and pick a free 5G phone with qualified plan purchase. And your fourth line at no additional cost. Visit your local Total Wireless store today. Total Wireless, we're totally with you. Actual speeds may vary by location. For data management practices, see TotalWireless.com.
Sacramento, Dirks Bentley's coming to town.
Getting drunk on a plane.
For his only show in California this year, Saturday, September 28th at Heart Health Park for Country in the Park 2.
What was I thinking?
And he's bringing some friends. Carmelie.
I want to close your eyes for this.
Tyler Rich. Dasha. And more. Saturday, September 28th at Heart Health Park. Get your tickets today before they're sold out at CITPFest.com.
Brought to you by the California Army National Guard and Red's Pizzeria and Tap House.
Sacramento Dodge Chrysler Jeep Ram. They believe it's all about people and choices. Their goal is to find the car that fits your lifestyle. With their huge inventory of models, they've got the right car and, more importantly, at the right price every time. Experience for yourself why their customers drive away smiling. Discover the difference, because it's not just about the car, it's also about the people. Experience the Sacramento Dodge Jeep and Chrysler difference off Business 80 next to Hagen Oaks, or you can find them online, SacSuperstore.com.
The only station in Sacramento giving you local sports coverage from 6 a.m. to 6 p.m. Monday through Friday. Sacktown Sports.
Kevin O'Connor of The Ringer, he basically dropped, would you call this news, Chris? What would you even call this?
Yeah, because it's not really a report. Speculation, not even speculation, because he is kind of saying it's sourced a little bit. He dropped some nuggets, is what I would say. I mean, he definitely dropped some. It's not an educated opinion. I really don't know what to call it, because when you're talking about something that's so far in the future, like there's so many random variables that can change that just make this statement completely irrelevant. But it's a big enough statement to where it is said and we can't just ignore it.
Well, the Lakers, this is what they do, right? And if you're trying to read the tea leaves here, basically Kevin O'Connor says that the Lakers have their sights set on Luka. Once LeBron is done, that is their play, and that's possibly part of the reason they haven't been as active as people would think because they don't want to blow up all their assets and then not have something to try to lure Luka or trade for Luka in the future. Here is what he said.
Clearly, and they clearly are thinking about that already. I've reported on this podcast and on the Ringer how they have their sights set for Luka in the future. We'll see if that works out. Dallas just made a finals. Dallas is looking better than ever with their supporting cast. That may not work out. But the Lakers, by not trading their future picks, clearly they're still thinking long-term at this point. They're not going all in like you might expect many teams to do with LeBron James.
So Luka is 25 years old, okay? And the Mavs can sign Luka to a 5-year, $346 million extension in 2025. So it sounds like the play in his opinion would be to try to trade for him at some point,
or hit free agency,
or hit for right. I guess once that 5-year is
he doesn't sign. If he doesn't sign that,
yeah,
he might not. He might say, forget the Lakers, but like I want to go play with my friend Jokic before he retires.
That's what I think is going to happen, and it scares me.
It's definitely scary. I mean, I think Luka is going to be the next one. I mean, he's really going to be the next big free agent that's going to hit the market potentially in 2026. That could change franchises completely. And I think we've seen with the Lakers and the LeBron situation, the thing that makes the Lakers such a scary team really to deal with from an opposing team standpoint is doesn't matter. It doesn't matter if they're good or bad. Like LeBron joined the Lakers through some of their thinnest years and had no problem just going there because of the brand and the fact it's in LA. And so I think that's the scary thing when you try and think of a Luka situation. I don't really think how LeBron finishes his career matters for if Luka would be interested in joining the Lakers. It's such a big brand. It's such a big name. It's obviously such a big city, a big market that you can go there even if they don't have a plan. If they have AD, that's way more than what they had when LeBron got there, and they still ended up winning a title pretty quickly. I don't like it. I don't want to think about it, but yeah, it's definitely something that has to be considered is if Luka does hit free agency and let's say Kyrie has a Kyrie season and not in a good way, and he's erratic and he's in and out of the lineup and that thing blows up pretty quickly. Maybe Luka does look at the landscape and say, look, I'm 27 years old now. And I know how I've been in America long enough to know how the media cycle works. People are going to start coming for me pretty soon here. If I am 28, 29, 30 years old and I don't have a ring, he has to seriously consider those things. And he's got to think if Dallas is the right situation to do it. They've done perfectly fine by him so far. They've gotten Porzingis in there. They've gotten Kyrie over there as well. They've added while having Kyrie there to get him clearly a championship level team. But it's something that we have to keep in the back of our minds the same way that we had to think, hey, it's crazy, but Giannis might join the Warriors at some point there during their run. And hey, the LeBron Steph rumors, like when those were going on, you have to take these things seriously because these teams are legitimate threats to at any point to just continue to add to the surplus of talent that they already have.
Yeah, and obviously that would be brutal if it did happen.
Yeah, that would be the worst.
That would
actually be the worst outcome.
We were talking about Aaron Judge during the break because the TV is on and he's the most home runs going into or 50 or more going into or before September.
Yeah.
And is baseball out of the major sports, of course, is baseball the one sport where not getting a ring doesn't really hurt your legacy at all?
Maybe because football a little bit.
We were just talking, and obviously football depends. I'm talking
if you're not a quarterback. Yeah, if you're a quarterback, it's kind of
exactly like no one's going to say, "Oh, this wide receiver he doesn't have a ring." But I'm thinking as far as you're talking about Luka and going to LA, and
right?
He's going to need to get a ring at some point if he's going to be put into this conversation. Right. Is baseball the only sport where you can be put into that conversation, but it doesn't matter if you win one or not?
Probably, because it is the most individual sport of them all in terms of yes, you're in a group team setting, but it is such a series of one-on-one matchups that, if Barry Bonds is never on a World Series team with the Giants, or I know he went, but there's a ton of other factors.
Like Trout.
Mike Trout, exactly. Mike Trout's the perfect example where he was individually great, but there was so many outside factors that led to him never having success that you can't just pin it on him. And, maybe some of that should be put into other sports as well. I mean, we talk all the time just in media in general about putting too much importance on winning a title, but I would probably say that baseball is really unique in that standpoint that, if Aaron Judge, we were just talking about, if Aaron Judge never wins a title, it's going to play some factor on his overall legacy. But at the end of the day, you're not going to say Aaron Judge is one of the best 2 to 3 baseball players we've seen in this generation just because he didn't win a title?
Right. The asterisk it's not really a thing in baseball. Like nobody says,
right,
oh, Ken Griffey Jr. didn't win one. Or Barry Bonds didn't win one. We just don't have those conversations.
No, we just don't. I don't, and maybe there should, maybe that's part of baseball's problem. Maybe, as the sports talk culture picked up, baseball did kind of fall by the wayside because I think a lot of people struggled to have, what baseball conversations do we have, especially in a hyper analytics era? Well, you can't really have an argument about who was more important to the Giants, Brandon Belt or Brandon Crawford, because you can just literally pull up specific numbers that will tell you this isn't a debate. It's just a actual fact here. So I think that's kind of where baseball gets lost in some of the conversation of it all. But it's pretty strange. And I wouldn't mind it if basketball does kind of lean off of that kind of talk, but it doesn't seem it's going anywhere anytime soon, because as much as the players complain about it, they're as guilty as anybody in saying, oh no, you don't have a ring, or, hey, I need to go here because it helps me win a ring. And so, I think I definitely think that Luka especially does have to, more than anybody, honestly, does need to consider. Giannis already has a ring. Jokic already has a ring. I think Ant is still too young to worry about those kind of things in terms of the national media talk, and obviously Wemby is too. Luka's kind of the next one up when it comes to, hey, you haven't won a ring, and yet you're already kind of crowned to a certain extent.
You do make a good point, though, because if you're the Lakers and you're just assuming I can have anybody I want, and maybe it's a timing thing based on when Luka could be a free agent and when LeBron's going to be done. But I think, the obvious pick over Luka to me, just based on he's in Netflix and things like that. You said the word, Anthony Edwards.
Yeah.
That he feels
he's still too young. I think that's what it is. You really don't win a title until you're, I think like 27 is the number in which a lot of superstars have kind of gotten over the hump at age 26, 27. And I think Ant's like 22, 23.
No, but I mean in terms of this report, right? The Lakers targeting Ant
gotcha.
instead of Luka. It just feels like that would be.
You're saying if the Lakers could have any player they
that's
want.
How they're acting. That's how they're
years.
acting. That's how they always act. So,
The Photoshops are going to get made.
Oh, either way. Well, what am I talking about, actually? They're getting both.
Yeah, they're getting
Luka and Ant.
Yes. And Jokic. Don't forget Jokic, too.
That's right.
Yes.
I forgot about that.
Because Anthony Davis doesn't want to play center, so you have to get a center.
And now we need a point guard.
Yeah.
Oh, Trae Young. There you go.
Yeah.
We're all set.
I mean, honestly.
The Lakers are set.
Not even going to lie. Back in 2016, this is what Laker fans were actually doing. It was like, we're going to get Hassan Whiteside. We're going to get DeMar DeRozan. We're going to land Kevin Durant in free agency, and Lakers are going to go.
Yeah. Yep. All they need is to hit on one, but hopefully they do not. Coming up next, at top 5 at the top of the hour. Stiles and Watkins, Sacktown Sports.
Trying to find out where to catch your favorite team's games?
Are you a fan of the Kings, Niners, and the NFL? Well, Sacktown Sports has you covered.
Touchdown! San Francisco! It's all on his shoulders. Cox rocks. He fires for the win. He's got the triple.
Catch all your Kings, Niners, and NFL games all year long on Sacktown Sports and SacktownSports.com.
I didn't ask to be thrown in the streets with nowhere to go. I didn't think I'd survive. But I did ask for help, and Covenant House was there for me.
1 in 10 young adults will experience a form of homelessness this year. For these kids who didn't ask to be put in this unthinkable situation, Covenant House is there.
Covenant House helped me break the cycle of homelessness in my family. They gave me the love that I needed.
Over 2,000 young people will sleep safely in a Covenant House bed tonight. When youth who are experiencing homelessness have a hot meal, a safe place to sleep, medical care, and love, they can overcome heartbreaking challenges and have a brighter future.
They just really genuinely just wanted to help me succeed, and I'm succeeding. I'm a speaker. I'm an author. Covenant House really helped me and really helped mold me into the woman I am today.
If you or someone you love is asking for help, go to safeplacetosleep.org today.
Are you tired of your tee shots ending up in the adjoining fairway while the rest of your foursome is hitting it down the middle? Well, experts will tell you that being properly fitted for golf clubs will help you strike your drive center cut. The Hagen Oaks Player Performance Studio and its team of trained PGA professionals are ready to help you get rid of your banana balls and duck hooks. Hagen Oaks Indoor-Outdoor Player Performance Studio fittings are available 7 days a week. Make yours today by calling 916-808-2531. That's 808-2531.
Where do you go when you need someone to represent you? For me, you want someone that is local and that you can actually get to and talk with. There are plenty of big branded lawyers out there with the name, but you never get to talk to them. So go to saclegaldefense.com and connect with the law offices of Jonathan Gonzalez. He's local, he'll represent you, and he'll have your back. Whether it's expungements, wrongful termination, when you're in a spot when you need legal help, call the law offices of Jonathan Gonzalez at 916-304-9187.
It's a myth to think you don't play golf well enough to get fitted for golf clubs. The professionals at the Hagen Oaks Player Performance Studio would argue that playing the game with golf clubs properly fitted to your body and swing characteristics is the best way to improve your game and have more fun on the golf course. With a professional staff of fitters, all the major brands of equipment, and cutting-edge technology featuring TrackMan, the indoor-outdoor Hagen Oaks Player Performance Studio is worth a look. See for yourself, Fulton Avenue at the Cap City Freeway. Schedule your fitting at 916-808-2531, 808-2531.
For most of the people that walk in our store, it's been an ongoing, nonstop issue, and they're finally walking into the Good Feet store. Okay, the guy that came into my store last year that has had plantar fasciitis for 30 years. I looked at him, I said, "Are you kidding me? I've been here for 14. Where have you been?" I helped relieve a problem that's plagued him for 30 years. I mean, how do you not go home and talk about that?
Come to the Good Feet store now for a free fitting and test walk.
At Northern California's #1 Honda dealer, Stockton Honda, we make the dream of owning a new car easy and stress-free.
With prices that you just can't say no to. Save on our best selection of the year during the final days of the Honda Summer Event.
Come in today or go to StocktonHonda.com.
Anytime, anywhere, it's all here. StocktonHonda.com.
#1 claims based on 2023 total new and Honda certified pre-owned vehicle car sales from American Honda Motor Company, sold on report.
From the Power Business Technology Toshiba Studios, KHTK-AM Sacramento, KYMX HD2 Sacramento, the only station in Sacramento giving you local sports coverage from 6 a.m. to 6 p.m. Monday through Friday.
Sacktown Sports.
Your flagship station for the Beam Team, Sacktown Sports.
It's time for the top 5 at the top of the hour. Couple good ones here. And we will start with, thank you, Kyle. We will start with Phoenix. If you're out there and you complain about how hot it is in Sacramento, well, at least you are not in Phoenix. Phoenix has reached 100 degrees for its 90th consecutive day. For perspective, the old record was 76 days.
Oh my God. I could not. I could not. I would not in Phoenix. I don't really have much to say on this, but ouch. Like, I would have to seriously consider moving after that. Well, I mean, there's no, we're talking 100 degrees. We're not saying just like in the 90s or it would be described as hot. We're talking about 100 degrees in Phoenix, where never been. I can assume it's pretty dry there too. So it probably feels like 115.
Well, this is a good time to talk about the summer now with the, I don't know if we're done yet, but feels like we are through the.
Oh, just wait.
What is there another?
Just wait for September.
September now? Not this again.
2 years ago it was 117 in September.
Well, I'm enjoying the cooler weather right now, but you know what? That's what I was gonna say. Everybody, Stiles, You can't handle the heat. I was fine.
That's great. That's great. 1 year, you're through it. Now it's about, year 2, year 3, year 4, year 5, year 6, year 7. That's when it's really like, all right. Like I thought this was just a one-hit wonder, and
no, bring it on.
It's they're not new to it; they're true to it. So
bring it on. Number 2 on the top 5 at the top of the hour. Babe Ruth's called shot jersey sold for $24.2 million over the weekend on the Heritage Auctions website. It was initially put on the website at $15 million, and it went on up, and somebody got it. I mean, that's just the peak. I need this, or who we need to find out who bought it, because
we'll be able to find out pretty quickly, I'd imagine.
I mean, that's just the ultimate. Yeah, look at my man cave.
You see that right there?
Yeah.
You know what that is? Looks like an old Yankee jersey.
Mm-hmm.
Babe Ruth.
Babe Ruth.
He you ever hear he pointed the bat?
It was this one.
That jersey. Really? Because could have just probably bought like a replica jersey and went outside and thrown some dirt on it. Would never be able to tell.
According to Heritage Auctions, the record-breaking $24.12 million sale lasted 6 hours. So it was 6 hours of bidding back and forth.
Wow.
The buyer wishes to remain anonymous.
Of course.
Wow.
Do you even display? I mean, when you're spending $24 million on something, you would think you should display it. You spent all that money. You're just going to put it in a safety deposit box. But, I mean.
You have to. I know who the bidding was between. Jason Ross and Frankie Cardicelli.
That's right.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, and there's no doubt about it. I mean, those guys, they got the money for it. They've got the space for it.
Mm-hmm.
And most importantly, we know they have the heart for it. Those Yankee fans, they're ridiculous. And I'm looking at the highest selling memorabilia in sports of all time. By the way, I don't think we ever talked about it, but when we were we did talk about it because we had the guest at the Super Bowl.
Mm-hmm.
We saw some pretty cool stuff there.
Yeah.
And this stuff is not that expensive, or that stuff was not this expensive. The Babe Ruth called shot jersey now goes $24.1 million. The previous record holder, and this is super crazy when you consider that beforehand, the top selling piece of sports memorabilia was a Mickey Mantle Topps card for $12.6. This almost doubled the previous most expensive piece of sports memorabilia. Of course, I think it makes more sense for a jersey to be worth more than a card, but I know that Mickey Mantle card is literally the holy grail of a sports cards collecting. You then have Michael Jordan's 98 finals jersey, which a lot of people thought was going to be his final game. That went for $10.1 million. That would probably be the one that I'd be most likely to get on this list. Diego Maradona's Hand of God jersey. That was another very, very famous clip where he hits a game-winning goal. That went for $9.3 million. I can only imagine the individual that bought that one probably wasn't super above board. And this one's interesting. Maybe this is something we'll have to ask Whitey about. Not because it's old. Well, I guess partly because it's old. 1892, the Olympic Games Manifesto. Maybe that's the setting the precedent for what was the Olympic Games, but it's just showing a bunch of old pieces of paper.
But why
that went for 8.8? That's a great point, actually. I forgot about that. $8.8 million. Those manifestos went for.
The thing that I'm now curious about is where was this jersey before? Was someone just sitting on $24 million and they were keeping it because it's well kept?
Yeah,
it is. Yeah.
Who owned it before this?
What's also funny to me is that it went for $24.2 million. I mean, if the bidding continued to go back and forth for 6 hours, did the person who lost? Oh, that extra 0.2. I was going to do 24, but I can't do 24.2. It's yours. I mean, how do you end up with that number?
Maybe they literally ran out of money. I mean, maybe there was a line, right? It had to stop at some point. I'm also seeing
the wife
here,
said, I told you,
honey,
stop at 24,000.
Yes. Okay, we're at 24 million. I will say I'm looking at the auction site. There is also a buyer's premium. And when the bidding was at $15 million, it said the buyer's premium was $18 million. So there's also maybe a chance that you had to spend an extra $4 or $5 million just to get it done.
I feel like you have to put down a deposit to even get in on the bidding. How do you even start How can you even prove that you can afford this?
Does the room just get small? Like, I would like to start the bidding $25.
Yeah.
And then just,
they kick you out.
I just get out there in about a minute and it's like, oh, that was fun. Let's say
but can I walk in there and say, I will pay $17 million? Like, how do they verify that you can actually afford this?
Yeah, there's probably got to be some sort of proof of concept. Maybe you do have to. I know. Yeah, I mean, to your point, Kyle. Like, do you have to have that money readily available? Is it? I have that money in assets. Like, how? I literally too broke to answer these questions.
Next on the top 5 at the top of the hour, 2 Boeing Starliner astronauts who have been stranded in space for 80 days will stay for another 6 months. What is happening?
This is a story that I saw maybe like a week ago, that there had been 2 astronauts that were just essentially floating out in space, not literally in space, but like in one of the vessels. I'm not educated enough on space to tell you what those are called, but yeah. And I guess the plan was initially, okay, much like the Titanic, the people who went down under for the Titanic, it's like, all right, like every day that they're up there, it's kind of a very important day lost. And then, I saw news yesterday in the New York Post that they will be there for another 6 months, just floating about in the International Space System. And then, and then they will be picked up. I guess they will send another spacecraft up there in about 6 months, and they're going to all return on that, and the spacecraft that they're currently in is just going to be abandoned.
Did you ever have, either of you ever have astronaut phase? Wanted to be an astronaut?
When I was like 5.
I just
I was
never
really,
had one.
really young.
No,
I
because
had no need to go up there.
By the time I was a child, they stopped sending people to space. So it wasn't like, oh, I got to watch this person go to the moon. Like, no, I was born well after the last time we were sending people to space.
Also seems like one of those things where, like, how is one really like qualified to be like, how, you don't go to train. I mean, I assume there is some sort of astronaut school, but like, I would assume that you probably get you major in something space related, and then it's like, no, I continued schooling to the point where you picked up enough skills to be an astronaut.
Hey,
but like, what exactly?
Yeah. Hey, I want to be an astronaut. What do I need to do to become an astronaut?
This is kind of a weird thing. There's like a lot of those schools in the Southeast actually have like space programs.
I'm sure, like Texas,
the University of Tennessee, I think, has a really good space program.
Well, the Pastronaut. That's where Dobbs went.
Yep. I think UCF has a really good one because they joke they're the Space Force.
Right.
It's all that.
Yeah. Astronauts. Hey, space,
Someone's gonna make a movie based on these guys, right? That's what's gonna happen next, right? Is that their life is gonna get turned into a movie.
Lost in Space.
Yes, I'm sure Hulu's working on it right now. Next on the top 5 at the top of the hour, Magic Johnson goes off on Anthony Edwards. And basically, Anthony Edwards said that besides Jordan, is the era conversation. Besides Jordan, there weren't really too many guys out there that were skilled. And word got back to Magic Johnson, and Magic Johnson does exactly what Chris and I were just talking about. He throws out the rings jab, and this is what he had to say.
Your response to that, Urban Magic? Well, I don't never respond to a guy that's never won a championship. There's not nothing to really say. He didn't win a college championship. I don't know if he even won a high school championship.
No, he's roasted. He's kind of roasted.
We'll see. I mean, it's just a matter of time. He is very, very young, and that's pretty surprising because I don't think Magic usually gets paid.
No, that's what I'm saying. Like, he was really not happy at all. He let it sing a little bit.
Something about it. Maybe he's like, he reminds me too much of Mike.
Yeah, maybe because he was not happy. That was on one of Stephen A. Smith's shows, and he was not happy about that.
No, that's really crazy. Like, Magic especially is not the one to take jabs. Usually Magic is Mr. PR, Mr. Smiles, hey, everybody's great, and I'm going to tweet ambiguous things about sports. Not that. That is about as direct of an attack from Magic Johnson as you will hear.
Fair or foul on, or I guess, is it a cop-out to just bring up the ring conversation? Is bringing up the ring conversation a cop-out in general?
Yes, 1,000,000%. Klay Thompson, Shaq does it all the time, obviously.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's a big cop-out. It's like, okay, again, like, does that, so it just invalidates everything. Charles Barkley was actually just a scrub because he never won a title.
Well, and then for him to say that, Magic, about Ant, that would mean that, okay, so you wouldn't respond to Charles Barkley if he had something to say?
Correct. Yep. Luka, better shut up, Luka. Absolutely. I think, again, it's a slippery slope. And yeah, it's one of those where it's like, okay, yeah, there's no comeback for it, for sure. Yeah, I guess you won this argument for 3 seconds, but there's no substance behind it. It's just, it's a your mom joke. It's like, okay, thank you. Yeah, no, that was a good one. That was a good burn for sure.
Yeah. Last but not least, on the top 5 at the top of the hour, this is from Andrew Baggerly. Elliot Ramos became the first Giant under the age of 25 to hit 20 homers in a season since Pablo Sandoval in 2011. And Andrew asked the question, can he hit 10 in a month to become the Giants' first 30-homer hitter since Barry Bonds in 2004? 10 in a month is a lot.
Yeah. I was thinking he's probably just going to try like hell, right? Like,
you have
I wonder if he knows that number.
I mean, 2004
That's
is insane.
Crazy. And we're just saying 30. We're not
Just
saying
30,
40.
yeah.
We're not saying 50.
No.
I understand those numbers. 30. Come on.
My takeaway is Buster Posey never hit 30 homers in a season.
Right.
No.
Shocking.
First baseman 6'5" Brandon Belt either.
No, but he did walk a lot.
He sure did.
And the
OBP,
advanced
man.
metrics says that
Get
Brandon
on
Belt was a guy. That has been your top 5 at the top of the hour. Coming up next, a group of experts are answering the NBA's biggest questions heading into the 2024-2025 season. And they have math on this one where they'll give points, and we'll see where the Kings end up on their point chart. Stiles and Watkins, Sacktown Sports.
The only place you'll find Kevin Herter is Sacktown Sports.
Herter's open, steps into 3. He's got the triple.
Hey Sacramento, it's Kevin Herter, and you're listening to the home of the Sacramento Kings, Sacktown Sports.
Your local sports leader.
Hey everybody, it's your boy Drapes, Kyle Draper for Mercedes-Benz of Stockton. Are you looking for a new van for your business? Maybe you want to go out on a camping trip, or even haul your kids and their teammates to their sporting events. Well, Mercedes-Benz of Stockton has the Sprinter van just for you. It's fully customizable, and plus, it has that Mercedes star right on the front, so you know it has the premium quality that Mercedes sedans and SUVs are known for. Give the Mercedes-Benz Sprinter van a test drive at Mercedes-Benz of Stockton, or go online at mbofstockton.com.
My kids call me Tom. So unnerving. Every day, the older one's like, how you doing, Tom? I go, hey, I'm not your fucking stepdad, all right? I wish I was. It'd be a lot easier, but I'm not.
From his multiple Netflix specials, comedian Tom Segura brings his new tour, Come Together, to the venue at Thunder Valley September 5th. Get tickets now. For tickets, visit ThunderValleyResort.com. Don't miss Tom Segura, Come Together.
Season. Chris, can you explain to the good people how they have broken this down, and of course where the Kings fall?
Yeah, ESPN.com had a group of experts answer their biggest questions. So there's not one individual to specifically get mad at, but yeah, they pulled just about all of their basketball staff and all their basketball writers to answer a couple of big picture questions. 4 of them: which team is going to have the biggest turnaround, i.e. which team will make the biggest leap, which team will tumble the most this season, who will be the star that makes the biggest impact on their new team, and then who will be the next superstar to to request a trade. All topics in which we have discussed all summer long, and ESPN.com finally got some answers as to where their writers are leaning to. Let's start off with the biggest leap of the season. Really no surprise when you look at the two teams up top. It's the two teams that most people have been talking about all summer long, and that's the Memphis Grizzlies, who received 63 points, 42% of the first place votes, and the San Antonio Spurs finished second in their point system. Not exactly sure how their point system's determined. I don't really think it matters, but point is, Grizzlies 63 points, San Antonio 48. Next closest was Golden State at 18 points. Phoenix Suns finished fourth. Bucks finished fifth, as well as the Sixers did. And then in a tie for seventh for the team that will make the biggest leap this season, you have the Houston Rockets, the Orlando Magic, and the Sacramento Kings, all tied for seventh in terms of teams that the writers see making the biggest leap. And it does appear that it was a tiered voting system where first place votes, second place votes. And let's see here. There was third place votes. So a first place vote received 5 points, second place vote received 3 points, and a third place vote received 1 point. And the Kings received 6 total points. So definitely some people having the Kings on their radar there. And again, something we've talked about all year, and something we just talked about earlier is, are people still sleeping on the Kings when it comes to the trajectory in which they're going? I guess maybe the thing could be, when we talk making the biggest leap, I don't know if there will be a massive leap per se. I think we're more saying eye test wise, there will be a leap versus maybe wins and losses. Going from 46 to 50 might not be the most significant leap of any team in the league.
Yeah, I'm struggling looking at the teams that are ahead of the Kings. I get the Grizzlies. I get the Spurs. I do not get the Warriors.
I don't either. I was hoping you could maybe explain that.
I mean, Kyle Anderson, DeAnthony Melton.
Yeah. Buddy Hield.
Buddy Hield. How could I forget?
It's all Buddy buckets.
It's all Buddy.
And a Kaminga Leap. And how can I forget?
That's it.
And one, how can I forget? Pajemski.
Yeah.
But
I guess that's what they're factoring in. That's the only explanation, because I couldn't think of anything.
Yeah, the other teams, though, obviously the 76ers get Paul George. The Bucks, to me, I don't really know. I mean, a leap from last season, because it
could just be
playoffs.
Again. Yeah, but it also, last season was, they didn't get off to the best start. They fired their coach. Damian Lillard didn't have a great year. Maybe it's more just, hey, we didn't have a great showing of who we were last year. Sixers make sense to me, obviously getting Paul George and all that stuff. But
Magic makes sense to me. Although the Magic, I do think that they had their sights set on Malik, but the Magic, to me,
getting KCP is really good.
Well, maybe I'm sleeping on KCP, because I felt like the Magic, if we were, doing the same checklist like we did with the Kings, I feel like the Magic thought that they were just going to have a crazy offseason, and it doesn't feel like they did everything that they wanted to do.
Yeah, they were supposed to add multiple people. It was supposed to be Malik Monk or Klay Thompson and it feels like, they just get KCP, and I think KCP is definitely somebody they would be very okay with regardless of situation. But I think, to your point, in an ideal world, it would have been KCP and Malik Monk, or KCP and Klay Thompson. KCP's great. He's going to add to their defense. He's going to be a good shooter for them, and a team that really desperately needs shooting. But probably not the massive leap that I think we were all anticipating from Orlando this offseason. When it comes to the biggest tumble, the Kings thankfully are not mentioned. However, every other team in the Pacific Division is mentioned, and I think that's of note for sure. The Lakers finished number 1, which is great to see on the team that ESPN.com writers see most likely to tumble. They received 43% of first place votes. In second place is the Clippers, of course, losing Paul George. That's great to see. The Warriors, funny enough, are tied for 8th on this list for the biggest tumble, with the Phoenix Suns as well. Both of them receiving votes, tied for 8th in terms of their polling system for which team will make the biggest tumble, which star will make the biggest impact with his new team. Of course, DeMar DeRozan is featured on this list. Paul George, number 1. He received 48% of first place votes. Mikal Bridges finishes number 2. I don't think anyone has a problem with that. Alex Caruso finishes number 3 with a total of 31 points. DeMar DeRozan finished 4th with 24 points. And I think I kind of expect that to round out the list. Chris Paul 5th with the Spurs, and then Klay Thompson 6th with the Mavericks with 9 points. So, it definitely could have been a lot worse for DeMar on those polls. I'm sure he received some first place votes for there, but I think I'm a little surprised to see Caruso finish ahead of him, but also I think it's more just Caruso has always been that, basketball Twitter name that they all love because of his defensive numbers, because of his efficiency. And he just kind of fits that, hey, plug and play type player. And I think a lot of people have just been infatuated with Caruso for a long time. So I can kind of understand that, but I think DeMar is going to have definitely more top. You're going to feel more. I mean, the question even says biggest impact. I think you're going to feel the impact of DeMar a lot more than you would feel the impact of Caruso, because that team was already really good defensively.
Right.
I don't know how much better Alex Caruso. I mean, he's going to be great. No, don't get it wrong, but I don't know if you'll be like, wow, they were great. Now they're incredible. They're the best defense I've ever seen. I don't know if the impact is going to be that severe.
Yeah, I don't get that one at all. Yeah. I don't really have a problem. And I don't even know, honestly, I'm excited to watch the Knicks, even though I can't stand Villanova, because I just want to see.
Yeah.
I feel like it's gotten to the point where we've talked about Mikal Bridges for so long. I want to see him play competitive basketball.
Yes.
I feel like it's been I want to see how good
I
want to see how good the team actually is. I want to see how good he actually is.
Yes.
These names that have just been around for years and rumored to different places. It's the same thing I felt with Pascal Siakam. And I think there were some nights where Pascal Siakam, you saw the trade and you thought, okay, Pascal's cooking. And then there were other days where you felt this is what they gave up all those picks for.
Yeah. No,
so
definitely.
I'm excited to watch the Villanova Knicks and just see what in the world they actually are.
Yeah, and then to round out everything, as you talk about stars being traded, the next superstar who will be traded, a topic that we spent, unfortunately, way too much time on this summer, especially in the early parts. The ESPN poll has Brandon Ingram tied at number 1 with Zach LaVine, both of which receiving 5 points. Trae Young slips in there for number 3. Jimmy Butler, Kevin Durant, and Darius Garland all round out the list of the most likely superstars to request a trade. I think number 1 on mine, I do think it'll probably be Brandon Ingram, just because they clearly were building without him in mind. Mm-hmm. I think the DeJounte acquisition was, okay, we're going to lose Brandon. We still need somebody who's a shot maker, definitely is going to lean more towards defensive end of the ball, has some length for sure, but they wanted to play Trey Murphy more this year, and they still have Brandon Ingram on that roster. I kind of think that they're still going to play Trey Murphy a ton, and they'll probably just put Brandon Ingram a bit on the back burner. And, we'll see. I cannot wait to see the team that actually bites on Brandon Ingram, because I've been trying to figure out who it's going to be for a couple months now.
Well, the issue there is that it's whatever team is going to pay him what he wants. I think Brandon Ingram might be the guy where, if you're the Pelicans, you could get, if you're willing to pay Brandon Ingram, he could be the guy where if he requests a trade or this thing gets messy, you could get, and the Pelicans know, hey, we know you got to pay this guy.
Yeah.
You might be able to get Brandon Ingram on a bit of a discount because he would technically be a rental.
Right.
So I'm not saying it would be the Kings or whoever, but the Warriors or the Lakers, one of these teams that just needs feels like they need something. And hey, maybe we'll pay him. We'll tell him we'll pay him, but we'll handle that
later
on the other side. And if nobody is willing to pay this man $50 million a year, then he's going to have to adjust his expectations as well. Coming up next, we have some Adam Schefter sound on Trent Williams. Not the best news. Also, a very random Derek Carr stat. What are we supposed to do with this? Stiles and Watkins, Sacktown Sports.
Did you miss any part of our live local shows? Don't worry, you never have to miss them again. Check out sacktownsports.com and search our podcast page and play our shows when you want. The Carmichael Dave Show with Jason Ross, Stiles and Watkins, and the Drive Guys. Plus, other podcasts like Return of the Empire, Return of the Roar, the Stingers Up podcast, and Golf to Go with Frank LaRosa.
They're all available right now on sacktownsports.com.
Whether you're tinkering in your garage or tackling big projects, if you know the value of working with your hands, you know Harbor Freight. And you can be confident knowing that at Harbor Freight, you can get quality tools at prices that work just as hard as you do. Because the only thing more satisfying than a job well done is a job well done, well under budget. Whatever you do it for less at Harbor Freight.
A Gain Scent Bead story. Jim was at the laundromat when he heard his ear said Maraca, senor, but his nose said, hey, freshest scent ever. Following his nose, Jim found a man pouring a bottle of Gain Scent Beads into the washer. The scent, the freshness. Jim blurted, sir, your scent Maraca smell amazing. Actually, Jim, most noses call them Gain Scent Beads. Try Gain Scent Beads, way fresher than detergent alone.
Get Labor Day savings right now at Folsom Lake Kia. Coach Christie here reminding you, if you're in the market for a new car, shop Folsom Lake Kia for low payments now through Labor Day. FolsomLakeKia.com.
Celebrate Sacramento Rivercats baseball during our 25th anniversary season and join the fun at Sutter Health Park. For a full promotion schedule and to buy tickets, visit rivercats.com. We'll see you there.
Sponsored by Xfinity Internet. Enjoy ultimate control of your home network. Personalize your Wi-Fi name and password. Assign user profiles. View and control connected devices and more with the Xfinity Internet app.
Sacramento, Dirks Bentley's coming to town.
Getting drunk on a plane.
For his only show in California this year, Saturday, September 28th at Hard Health Park for Country in the Park 2.
What was I thinking?
And he's bringing some friends. Carmelie.
I want to close your eyes for this.
Tyler Rich.
Be the difference.
Dasha.
Did your boots stop working?
And more. Saturday, September 28th at Hard Health Park. Get your tickets today before they're sold out at CITPFest.com.
Brought to you by the California Army National Guard and Red's Pizzeria and Tap House.
Hey, it's Carmichael Dave inviting you to make the switch to electric this spring and save big with American Energy. Stay ahead of those spiking energy bills this summer with up to $9,000 in rebates on a new ultra-high efficiency comfort system. American Energy is providing huge rebates from SMUD as well as spring specials by installing one of many incredibly efficient AC options available to you right now. Get rid of those fluctuating gas bills in the winter and switch to year-round all-electric with American Energy. Let them perform a free in-home energy efficiency analysis and see where they can help you save for the warmer months ahead. These guys are the best. Been serving the greater Sacramento area since 1981. A+ from the Better Business Bureau. Learn more by calling 916-520-9990. That's 916-520-9990.
Call 916-520-9990 now.
Golf to Go is brought to you by the Hagen Oaks Golf Super Shop. Here's Frank LaRosa.
PGA.com Quick 9 asked readers to complete this sentence. Golf means more than a game. To me, it means, at number 9, the banter. People love the good-natured teasing that goes on. Number 8, it's hard to explain, but I don't want to be without it. Number 7, it's an obsession. I eat, drink, and sleep golf. Setting goals is next. At number 5, golf is life. It's a career for some, a passion for most, and a ticket to college for a lucky few. At 4 and 3, a place to relax and an escape. A place to feed my soul and find a peaceful solace. At number 2, a place to learn about ourselves and others. You'll learn more in 4 hours on a golf course than almost anywhere else. Number 1, a few priceless hours to spend with friends and loved ones. Responses included time with my dad, time with my husband or wife, time with my closest friends. It's hard to beat the company you share around with. So what do you think? Why is golf more than just a game to you? Finish this sentence. To me, golf means, I'll let you think about that. That's your Golf to Go. I'm Frank LaRosa.
Maida Chevy saves you $12,000 off MSRP on every new half-ton Silverado LT Turbo Max. In stock after rebates. Always 5 to choose from.
Labor Day savings on now at MaidaChevy.com. Together, let's drive.
See dealer for details. Ends 9/3/24.
Sacramento's official home for the San Francisco 49ers.
Sacktown Sports.
Whitey Gleason will join us in about 15 minutes. We have this Adam Schefter sound on Trent Williams. But first, Chris, I wanted to get to this. Historic. Saints QB Derek Carr needs just 1,451 more passing yards to pass Joe Montana and Johnny Unitas for 22nd all-time in history. I don't know what to do with that.
Just take that, modern football throws the football a lot more than they ever did in the past. That's really the only thing to read from it.
You know what this is?
Read into it that Derek Carr is better than Joe Montana and Johnny Unitas.
But you know what this is? This is when, I know you remember this, when Draymond passed Michael Jordan for most made threes.
I am so glad that I do not have any recollection of that at all.
That's what this is.
Dude, it is. It's entering the league at the perfect time. I used to laugh about this so many years ago that it was always, you were watching NFL Red Zone on Sundays, and like every other year, or like every year, it would be like, congratulations on Matthew Stafford for being the fastest quarterback to 30,000 passing yards, or congratulations to Matt Ryan for being the fastest quarterback to 40,000 passing yards.
I felt like Drew Brees broke it every single year and just did it over and over again.
He did. I mean, him and Brady were going back and forth on the career touchdown list and things like that. I mean, it is really just a sign that, they throw the ball so much more than they ever did back then. And, some of the Johnny Unitas stats are pretty strange to look at. Like, I think he's one of those who has more career interceptions than touchdowns or something. There's a couple really old quarterbacks where you look at their numbers and it just doesn't make any sense at all. And so, I will give baseball its credit, and to an extent basketball too, but that's where they've done great, is like their numbers still mean things from all the way back then. Like, the Aaron Judge number that we cited earlier of 50 home runs before September, like that is a universal through line stat where, of course some juice balls and juice players as well, but for the most part, all the numbers hold up the same. In the NFL, there's just been so many different iterations of how the game is played, and especially in the NBA now with the three. I mean, that Draymond stat is perfect. It's just not all things are created equal statistically throughout history in a lot of these sports. It's kind of tough.
Johnny Unitas for his career had a 54% completion percentage.
Oh, yeah. That's
for 290 touchdowns, 253 interceptions. The one that I think
elite.
The one I think is the funniest. They didn't keep sack totals in his first few years, but he got sacked 400 times in his career.
What?
He got sacked 400 times over his career, like averaged almost 35 a season.
But you know what's funny? Insane. As we brought up the Magic Johnson kind of roasting Anthony Edwards, I do think it's interesting that maybe it's because, I don't know, just the era conversation. Why does the era conversation really only happen in basketball, right? Like quarterbacks, quarterbacks, they don't roast quarterbacks of the past or anything like that. It's just only, and in baseball, it's just only in basketball.
Can't answer that one.
I don't know why.
I can tell you why they don't do it in other sports, because football from 1992 is completely unrecognizable to football of today. Meanwhile, basketball is like, they shoot a lot of 3-pointers and stuff, but it's not that dissimilar when you watch a game from 1992 to today.
But the 3-pointer, that's a big deal, though.
Yeah, and the pace is faster. I'm not saying they're exactly the same. I'm just saying you watch a football game from 1992, it's like night and day to a football game from today.
Yeah. So I just saw that, and I thought, Derek Carr could become number 22 on the list and be on the bench and not even finish the season.
Yeah.
Spencer Rattler.
I'm sure there's more egregious names that, like, I'm sure Joe Flacco's pretty high on that list too. I'm sure that there's a lot of really, really egregious names up there up top.
My favorite one is that Phillip Rivers has more career passing yards than Dan Marino.
Yeah. I mean, Phillip Rivers is probably prime suspect number 1 to have like a lot of records, or be top 10 in a lot of lists that I don't think anyone would say Phillip Rivers. I mean, maybe some people would. I mean, Kyle, I know you were San Diego at the time. Like, how many years was Phillip Rivers even really like a top 10 quarterback in the league?
Top 10, probably like a decade.
There was a good period.
Top 5,
sure. Yeah,
maybe 4, maybe 3 or 4.
Yeah.
I got a funny one here. So coming in just below Derek Carr, who's number 25 on the list. Number 26 would be Andy Dalton on the all-time passing yards list followed by Boomer Esiason, Donovan McNabb, Matt Hasselbeck, and Alex Smith, Jim Kelly, who is then followed up by Jay Cutler, Ryan Fitzpatrick, and Ryan Tannehill.
Put some respect on their names.
That's insane.
Put some respect on all their names.
That portion right there is where that is where that really tells you about the difference.
Jim Kelly having the same number of passing yards as Jay Cutler, Ryan Fitzpatrick, and Ryan Tannehill,
and less than Andy Dalton. I mean, that is absolutely insane. But I mean, again, that's this league now where you throw 40 to some occasions 50 times in a game, and you're gonna air it out a lot more than they were when. I mean, the forward pass wasn't even invented, I'm sure, for some of Johnny Unitas's career. It's just, it's interesting, but it's not. It's kind of unfortunate that you can't really directly do it besides eye test with quarterbacks.
Yeah, exactly. Because you had the steroid era, the juice ball era, and I don't even know what we would call. I guess there's prior to the 3-point line, and then when the when would you even say basketball, the 3-point line, this new era, the quote unquote new era of we're going to run, we're going to shoot threes? When did that even start?
I mean, you could say the Kings started it in the early 2000s. You could say the Suns with their 7 seconds or less. You could argue Showtime started it in the 80s. I mean, the 3-point line, I think, has been around since 79, I want to say, or something close to that. So, I mean, there's definitely a pre-3, but even then, even in a post 3-point era, to your Draymond stat, we think of Larry Bird as the best shooter of that era.
Yeah.
You look at Larry Bird's 3-point numbers and it's nothing spectacular at all compared to today's. So it's a little bit tough.
To your point, Alan, I think it was around 2016 was when everyone started doing it at the same, when offense became a little bit more homogenized, where everyone was shooting threes and having faster pace. I think whether it's Run DMC or the Kings in the 2000s or 7 seconds or less, people were trying it out, but 2016 was around when everyone started doing it at the same time because they saw the Warriors happen. It was we just can't keep up with the numbers are telling us this is what we need to do.
Right. And now you have this era in football where I don't think it's going to go away because
no, this is 7-on-7 era.
There you go. Yeah. We need a term for it. Just like Cal, the Bear Raid.
It's going to be bad. I mean, it's going to be really bad, especially the more and more that the NFL goes away from, having any sort of contact at the line for cornerbacks. I mean, it is essentially going to be a glorified 7-on-7 where you can't touch these guys until they're 5 yards out and they get the space. They now have, elite route running as well to where you can completely burn. If you're going to give 5 yards untouched to some of these receivers, you're not going to stand a chance. And so, it's definitely going to be a bit of a juiced era in terms of quarterback stats for sure. I mean, we saw last season, even Brock Purdy put up the most passing yards of any Niner quarterback in history. So I think it's just going to continue to get, I guess you can say, worse and worse, depending on how you kind of view this, but I don't think it's changing anytime soon for football.
Coming up next, Whitey Gleason of the Drive Guys join us, and we have that Trent Williams update. Stiles and Watkins, Sacktown Sports.
Labor Day, our annual celebration of workers and their achievements, was first observed in New York, and the first Monday in September became a national holiday in 1894. Hi, this is Frank LaRosa with a word about Naturewood Home Furnishings. Each year we commemorate Labor Day with parades, picnics, and family gatherings. And right now, Naturewood Home Furnishings is celebrating with their exceptional whole store Labor Day sale. Would you like to refresh your living room? Would you like to restyle your bedroom? Maybe you want to redesign your home office. No matter whether it's your dining room, kids' rooms, accents, or accessories, Naturewood's unique store-wide Labor Day sale offers savings in every department and savings on every brand like Stanton, Omnia, England, Stickley, Flex Steel, and all the rest of the award-winning furniture. When it comes right down to it, it's all about choices and always about quality. Visit Naturewood Home Furnishings right now for this remarkable Labor Day sale. Off Highway 50 at Hazel, look for the water wheel.
Experience a golf tournament as refined as you are. The Pro Court Championship at Silverado Resort, September 12th through the 15th. Be there as the best of Napa meets the best of the PGA Tour. with world-class wine experiences, breathtaking views, and incredible golf. It's like this weekend was made for you. The Procore Championship, September 12th through the 15th. For tickets, go to ProcoreChampionship.com.
I would end the day with sore feet, sore legs. The drugstore inserts that I was purchasing were really not very useful at all. I walked into the Good Feet store and the guy kind of grinned at me and said, I hear that a lot. I was living with chronic pain before going to the Good Feet store. Now I don't really have that problem. I'm able to do the things that I expect to be able to do, even at my advanced stage. I feel pretty good about what's going on.
Come to the Good Feet store now for a free fitting and test walk.
Are you tired of your tee shots ending up in the adjoining fairway while the rest of your foursome is hitting it down the middle? Well, experts will tell you that being properly fitted for golf clubs will help you strike your drive center cut. The Hagen Oaks Player Performance Studio and its team of trained PGA professionals are ready to help you get rid of your banana balls and duck hooks. Hagen Oaks Indoor-Outdoor Player Performance Studio fittings are available 7 days a week. Make yours today by calling 916-808-2531. That's 808-2531.
Your flagship station for the Beam Team, Sacktown Sports.
Joined by Whitey Gleason, and we are going to ask Whitey about what's coming up on his show. But first, wanted to get to this Adam Schefter sound on Pat McAfee as it pertains to one Trent Williams and whether or not this thing is going to get resolved soon. Here it is.
I think their offensive line didn't play particularly well the other night, and I don't think that they've made a lot of progress so far. I don't think that Trent Williams is closer to coming in today. I also think that we're entering a week now where the 49ers play 2 weeks from tonight against Aaron Rodgers and the Jets. 2 weeks from tonight, which is amazing to think about. And I just think that this is the week where I'm expecting every one of these situations to have some type of ramped up activity. Now, I don't know that all of them will get solved. I'd love to see every one of them get solved and kind of have everybody move ahead to the season. But how would the 49ers not make renewed efforts this week to try to figure out and resolve the Brandon Ayuk and Trent Williams situations? How would the Bengals not figure out ways to do Chase and the Cowboys and Lamb and the Jets and Hassan Reddick? Like every single one of these situations, we're at a pretty critical juncture here.
So something is going to need to happen soon, man. I mean, the Brandon Ayuk thing, we can go back and forth all day on, and I was just watching some highlights of, I think it was the Commanders or the Browns. Somebody got into it with the Niners, and you see Trent Williams just roll up and
that was the Browns. That was the Browns game.
The Browns, yeah.
And Debo got into it a little bit.
Yeah. And I just think that it's funny because the Brandon Ayuk thing has been going on for a longer period of time, but wouldn't you make the argument that the Niners, they probably want to prioritize Trent Williams, but they simply can't. They can't.
Welcome back, Chris.
Thank you.
To me, I saw that story today, and it was Daniel Jeremiah, right? Wasn't it?
Mm-hmm.
Or was it? Yeah. To me, it's like, it was Jeremy Fowler. Anyway, whoever it was, I feel like we knew that. Trent Williams isn't coming back until his contract situation is resolved. Okay.
Isn't that what a holdout is?
That's news. Well, I guess it's serious. I mean, I know that it's a situation that has to be dealt with, but I don't know why all of a sudden that comes out and then it's like, oh no.
Yeah.
It's the Niners.
There's time. There's still time.
All off season long.
Yeah. I can't see them. Well, and that's why we played some sound from Manti Te'o earlier in the show. And he was just saying they look exhausted. The Niners do. And he compared them to the Seahawks, and I wouldn't pick the Seahawks over the Niners to win the NFC West, but just
they look exhausted.
Well, basically he was saying
that's not good.
Long story short, that the vibes just don't seem to be off. And he talked about how exhausting it must be. He said in his time when he was with the Saints, they went through the miracle in Minnesota, And then the next year was the no call on that ridiculous PI. And by the way, that whole thing turned into, we're going to start reviewing PIs. And then it just went away. The whole thing went away. And he just said, just to go through what the Niners have gone through. And he didn't even mention the Brandon Ayuk and Trent Williams stuff. So you got to think that these guys, and Chris and I kind of went back and forth on how much it actually matters. But yeah, it feels like they know what they missed out on last season. I mean, even going back to the we want the ball and the overtime and everything like that. And I mean, everybody has a limit. I just feel like the Niners are pretty close to it.
I remember driving into work the day after the 49ers lost that NFC title game to the Seahawks, going back, Kaepernick, the interception, Richard Sherman, Crabtree, that
Crabtree.
The next day, listening to Gruden, he was on with Mike, and he goes, you look at what happened to them the year before. They, 2 years ago, they almost got there against the Giants, and they had the Kyle Williams game. Then the next year, they're in the Super Bowl. They almost win that. And then he says, then you have last night, and they lose that game. He says, I don't think teams recover from that. And essentially, he was right.
Yeah.
But I just don't know that we're there yet with the 49ers. Seems like every year, because they're so good, expectations are so high, every offseason, something doesn't go exactly right. And a lot of us are ready to go, oh, boy, there it comes. I mean, we'll see.
We'll see.
I'm not there yet.
Okay.
How about you, Vikings fan?
I think it's tough. I mean, from a Vikings perspective, I'm done. But I think it is tough. I mean, the Niners last season, I think of it more of like the San Antonio Spurs trying to get their revenge from the Ray Allen shot. And like, to me, that was the Niners season last year was, okay, this season is fueled purely off of revenge and getting what we feel like was literally taken from us after the season of Brock Purdy, destroying his arm and all that stuff. I think it is tough to kind of get that same energy and to have that same motivation and to pull on the same string for another season and be told and convince yourself, hey, we're doing things right and this is the right way of doing it, when you just felt like you did everything perfectly and you still came up short. So I could see how they would be exhausted, but you're the best team. Like, I still think that massages a lot of things, especially in the NFC, which I just don't think is going to be that difficult up top. I feel like they still have the most talent. And if Ayuk and Trent are there and McCaffrey's healthy in week 18, I don't see how the Niners still aren't the favorites to do it. It's going to be tough. They still got to, win some battles, but they have the best roster. And that at the end of the day should at least put you in a good spot, I would think.
Can you guys believe the Chiefs are trying to win three
in a row
Super Bowls?
It's crazy.
3 in a row. The Patriots didn't do that, did they? 3 in a row?
Nobody has done that.
Yeah, I'm like,
it has not been done.
With that being said,
incredible.
Would you take the Chiefs or the field this year?
I'd probably take the field, but I'd rather be the Chiefs than the,
Yeah.
I mean, I know what you're saying. Yeah, it's tough. I'm not saying, oh boy, they better do it or else, but it's incredible that they're on the verge of doing something no one has ever done. In this day and age, when it's supposed to be harder to do all that.
And maybe that
stuff.
does speak to the Niners thing too, because, it's tough to win 3 years in a row. The Niners have pretty much been there 3 years in a row. Like, are they going to have this? I think the same questions that you have about the Chiefs, you have to have about the Niners in terms of their exhaustion, because they've pretty much been to the same amount of games.
What I just heard you say is that the 49ers are the Utah Jazz to Patrick Mahomes' Chicago Bulls.
Very much so.
Wow.
Very, very much so. Very, very much so.
Wow. Well, and that's what they say about the greats. And why people have argued about LeBron, because it's, whose era has it been? Other players have won on LeBron's watch. I mean, ever since Patrick Mahomes, and that's why everybody tried to create, maybe it'll come back, but tried to create is Joe Burrow the guy, because that one season where they won. But yeah, besides it, literally that season on Mahomes' watch, everybody else is just shut down.
Yeah. Yeah. That's unprecedented. I'll be interested. It just kind of dawned on me. I think I read that somewhere. Chiefs try to win 3 straight, which has never been done. It's like, yeah, that's never been done. That's amazing.
Yeah. Yeah. Whitey, what is coming up on the show today?
Today, we're going to be revealing, I guess, the first 10 out on our top 40, Kings top 40 and 40. Thank you. I know Chris participated. Did you put some of that together for us? Were you participating in that?
No.
No? Okay. I thought you were.
I was supposed to.
Oh, okay, that's fine. Carmichael Day was complaining about it. It's too much work. I mean, just do it or don't. And you know how long that takes? Yeah, I do.
It took some time.
It does
Just do it or don't. It's okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's the best homework I've ever gotten. Let me tell you. I mean, I was not, as somebody who did not do a lot of homework in school, even though I was on vacation, I was very, very happy to try and figure out the puzzle that is.
Yeah.
And I'm really interested. I mean, I really can. You're revealing the entire list this week throughout the duration
that's the
of this
plan.
week.
And I do appreciate that Dave was, he could have just gone, whatever. I
Yeah.
appreciate that he realized, all right, this is going to take some time to do it right.
Right.
And it did. I
It
understand
does.
that.
And it gets really hairy. I'm excited to see what the official list is because there's a lot where I'm wondering, am I off base by having this person this high or this low? And, especially, I mean, even to start the list tomorrow, I'm going to be interested to see who ended up actually cracking it, because I was talking earlier, the only name that I've revealed is actually on my list is Tyrese. And I was a bit conflicted and didn't think of even Keegan Murray being involved in the list. So I'm curious to see kind of how that's
a
40
really
to
interesting one.
35, or are you doing 10 a day, 5 a day?
10 a day.
10 a
I
day.
didn't have Tyrese, but I could certainly
Yeah.
see how
Yeah.
I had Tyreek, but not Tyrese.
Yeah.
But I get it.
I regretted
understand
it instantly.
Yeah. Had some guy on Twitter said, how can you have Tyrese? You only played a year and a half.
Yeah.
But Vince Carter should be on there. Vince Carter played 1 year. So
I will
anyway.
say, yeah, I was talking to Jason Jason put together a list as well. And I was talking to him about it this morning. And there are a couple like year and a half long Kings to where it's like, or even if you were with the team longer, you were only good for a year or something. And it's like, we're really not in a place where we can differentiate. Like what do I do with the thing that I really struggled with was the Danny Ainge year and a half. Like I didn't know what to do with 20 points per game in a year. And I'm like, I feel like I had him kind of high, and as someone who wasn't physically there to see it, it's going to be interesting to see, how eye test.
Thank you for doing that.
Did
Thanks.
it match with the numbers?
Yeah. Jay asked me. He said, "Hey, are you doing this?" And I said, "Yes."
Well, that's okay. I mean, the reason I hesitated, I thought maybe somebody didn't ask you. And
No, Jay asked.
Yeah. Okay. All right.
Jay asked me. Well, honorable mention gets revealed today on the Drive Guys, Whitey Gleason, Kyle Draper, and I can't wait. I really can't.
You're gonna have to. I'm sorry.
I can't wait. I can't wait.
How many people do you know that put a list, or that you guys asked to put out?
I'll tell you some of the names, and I don't know the whole list, and I don't mean to. I know Tony Ray Harvey, Jerry Reynolds, Gary Gerald, Pete Youngman.
Yeah, good, because that was my problem. Is like I know Frankie did a list as well, and I'm like, me and Frankie weren't alive for 10 to 15 of these years to kind of recollect, and so I'm going off of numbers. But I mean, in basketball, more than just about any other sport, it's like, well, the numbers don't really tell the entirety of the story.
In some ways, that's better because you remember a guy if you saw him, and maybe that clouds your judgment a little bit because I saw that guy or I talked to him, so. It all balances out.
It'll be really interesting.
Thank you.
Did you see the thing that Chris has been doing on Twitter with the squares and just happened to be Jason Williams for most overrated?
I saw the numbers. Look.
Yeah. See, I had DeMarcus there.
Facts are facts.
Yeah.
DeMarcus overrated?
Yeah.
Cousins?
DeMarcus Cousins. Yes.
Boogie?
Yes, that's the one.
Overrated.
That's his shoe right there. Yes, that's the guy.
Whitey.
Yeah.
Both of you.
A lot of people have DeMarcus as number 1. So if you have DeMarcus at 5 or something like that, that's overrated.
Yeah.
What you reveal tomorrow?
I'll just go with you guys. I'll go in lockstep with you. So I did my honorable mentions today. I guess maybe I'll do my top 5 tomorrow, or my bottom 5 tomorrow. Maybe I'll do 40 through 35 or something.
All right.
I don't want to step on your guys' list.
Oh,
that's right.
The more the merrier.
The more the merrier. Well, Drive Guys coming up next. Thank you for listening to Stiles and Watkins. Thank you to all the callers, texters, and Sack chatters. Congrats to our winner of the Tom Segura tickets. Drive Guys coming up next. Until tomorrow, let's get the bag.
I didn't ask to be thrown in the street.